ain't nothing to it. Go ahead and bring Goliath on. Ain't no giant, I ain't gon' fire on. Catch a fade, you, I'm wrong, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm a reconcile born, so ain't nothing to it though. This is on me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Keeping it true to form 10 L's into a milli though. But they already knew that those farewell to your opinions. Know that he is something. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that, y'all. Here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I'm a big gun, but still watch me escape.
Welcome to League Night, everybody. It is the penultimate weekend of the Virtual Diplomacy League regular season. Both the French Diplomacy League and the Nexus Press League have just 2 events left before their regular season concludes. And tonight's feature league, the Tour of Britain, has crowned a new ruler. We're going to watch those games tonight. Championship season is in full swing here at DBN. I couldn't be happier that you've chosen to watch this broadcast with us tonight. You're watching League Night on DBN, the show that covers diplomacy games from leagues and clubs around the world. I'm your host, Brian. I'll be with you tonight, and I'm going to need some extra moral support from Dip Chat tonight because I am joined by the legal team of Hood and Sullivan. I will on.
You're on mute.
Yeah, Brian totally went mute when he introduced our law firm name, which is exactly how we planned it.
In true League Night tradition, I'm coming in on mute, getting that out of the way. Tonight on League Night, we're featuring 3 Virtual Diplomacy League games and 2 games from the Tour of Britain. Before we dig into that, let's take a quick look at what happened last month. That was one of the most impactful weekends of the 2022 season so far from a standings perspective. First
No, let's not look. No, we shall not look.
We shall. This too shall pass. Ed, you will be happy to see this, or at least some of us will. On top, Nicolas Taillet maintains his position on top of the leaderboard, but his first place standing is starting to look a bit more tenuous. Tim Crosby continues to close the gap, adding 37.1 points to his second place total and shrinking his lead to just 40 points overall. One of the most dominant players in league play this season, Crosby's placed himself in striking distance of finishing this VDL season on top of the leaderboard. Farron Jane also made a big move last month, moving up 5 places into 3rd. And rookie Jason Bennett, who's having a breakout season, moved from 6th to 4th. The regular season win and his its guaranteed DBNI invitation is also within reach of both of those players if they have 2 good games. Jackson Roberts increased his score by 22.7 points, which was enough to overtake his nearest competitor, Brandon Fogel, but not enough to keep him from dropping 1 place overall into 5th. Fogel and 2022 Diplomat of the Year, Jason Massbaum, did not play last month and were punished by the rest of the field, dropping down into 6th and 7th place, respectively. Places 6 and 7 are incredibly close, separated by just 0.2%. And early season leader Christian Brown, we'll see him in just a moment. On the bubble, let's take a look at that now. On the bubble, we see Craig Mayer moving into 8th place. Craig, McAllis, Camaridis, Brandon Dix, and Liam Stokes improved their scores and are serious threats for knocking one of the current leaders out of the championship game. Jason Massbaum in particular is looking a bit vulnerable as his gap between 8th place Mirror and 9th place Camaridis is less than 2 points. I'm going to turn this over to our analysts now. David, I'll start with you. Who of the players in the rest of the field has the best chance at overtaking Nicolas Taillet for the regular season?
Well, I hate to put my money on the favorite, which would be Tim, so I'm not going to. I'm going to say that Farron Jane, who I had a chance to meet last weekend. So did Ed at World DipCon. I think has a legitimate shot, as does Tim. I mean, to be serious for a minute, both of them have legitimate shots to overtake Nikolai. But as far as what I think is going to happen, it wouldn't surprise me if Nikolai keeps the top spot. He is a tough cookie.
And Ed, of all of the players that are on the bubble, or the rest of the field for that matter, who has the best chance at making it into postseason play, cracking that top board?
Well, I'm a big Liam fan, so I'm going to go with Liam Stokes if he plays. Hey, Brian, just one thing. I'm not sure this is broadcasting. It's not on my YouTube, so wanted to let you know that.
All right,
But
it's showing we've got viewers. So
well, then they're irrelevant. Okay, no problem. Who needs
it's
viewers when you have Hood and Sullivan?
There you go. Thank you, Ed. So I will also point out, Ed, you are wearing a hat. We're talking about champions, and I, as a Houston Astros fan, have to recognize their performance. I was very happy to see that. Nice to get the cheater monkey off the back. And we'll have this was just a dominant performance. Dominant, similar to Nicolas Taillet, just consistently knocking it out. If I had to put my money on it this season, I think Nicolas holds on. But there's two rounds left to be played, and there's enough people in contention that it's going to come down to the wire. Let's take some quick looks now at some upcoming events. David, you just got back from, and Ed, both of you just got back from the World Diplomacy Championship. First of all, just quick summary. Ed, highlight for you. What was the highlight of the World Diplomacy Championship?
The people.
Absolutely.
I know that's said a lot, and I didn't believe it before I started going. Because who could have fun with a bunch of cutthroat, competitive, antisocial nerds? And then you go up there and they're cutthroat, they're competitive, but they're not antisocial. And there's not as many nerds as I thought there were going to be. Only David really was the only nerd there. But there was a ton of camaraderie, fellowship, and just general good times and laughs. And I mentioned this on Deadline News with David, but just getting to hang around with people who share this obscure common interest is its own reward. And I had a ton of fun. I can see why people go, even if they don't win.
Yeah, let me just follow up on that. I am going to release an episode of Deadline News next weekend. Ed is interviewed there. But the reason I'm bringing it up is we're going to do a lot of World DipCon retrospective in that episode. And you all that didn't get to go will be able to get a little taste of what it was like. The camaraderie really was amazing. And the other thing was meeting people for the first time that we have seen virtually. There were several that I met for the first time. Jason Bennett being an example also. Who's, I think, sitting in fourth place here in the VDL. I also met him for the first time last weekend. It's always great to put a face to a name and a friendship to the face.
Absolutely. There is something special about this kind of community. I don't know exactly what it is, but you spend all of this time together struggling and competing, and instead of it driving people apart, it brings people together. And I mean, it's not a game for everyone, but for those that enjoy this kind of game, I've yet to find anything quite like it. And I completely agree that the community is the best part about all of these events. So sad I wasn't able to make it. But for those that are also sad, or those who want to repeat, we've got a couple opportunities coming up. Let's take a quick look at a couple of our tournaments. Starting out I think that's next weekend, November 18th to 20th. We've got the Italian National Diplomacy Championship in Gambolo, Italy. We've got the Virtual Diplomacy Championship, December 16th to 18th. Keep that one in mind. We're going to come back and mention that in just a moment. Cascadia, February 4th to 5th, will be the final event to qualify for the 2022-2023 DBNI season because the DBN Invitational begins February 18th to 19th. And then on the 24th to the 26th, we have TotalCon in Boston and the DBN Invitational that same weekend. And then getting into next season, we've got Whipping right around the corner, April 15th to 16th. David, anything you want to, or Ed, anything you want to mention about these upcoming tournaments?
Well, I think you said you were going to come back to the Virtual Diplomacy Championship, but I'll just throw out there that that is an open tournament that you can play from your home or from your wherever, your work, wherever you want to play from. A great way, if you haven't already dived into the tournament scene, that's a great way to do it because it's, virtual. It's not having to travel, but it gives you a lot of the same experiences in the sense that it's live, just like these games we're doing tonight. And it's a world championship level event for the virtual diplomacy, the world of virtual diplomacy. So I would really encourage folks to do that in addition to the other opportunities that were on the list. We think that the season is winding down, which it is, which means the next season's right around the corner.
Yeah, it is. It happens really, really fast. And I think the WDC we'll come back to, but that is there's three main formats in diplomacy. We've got face-to-face, which is how the game was originally designed. Then you've got extended deadline, which is in the vein of the postal hobby, which developed very rapidly alongside the game. So we've got longer deadlines, and they have the online diplomacy championship, which I believe is ongoing right now. Because of the length of those games, that happens only every other year. And then virtual face-to-face was developed during the pandemic as a way that those of us who love this game and the community trying to find a way to continue to play together and developed a new way to play virtually over usually Discord or video and using software adjudication. And it's been so much fun. It's been a great way to get a global experience, and that's what the WDC brings together really well. Another way to get involved and play is through league play. And we've got to start things out, an item that we've not advertised before. I think I've mentioned it once in the past, but it's finally got its way onto our event list. The German Diplomacy League. This is something that Robert Schupa is organizing. And what I believe one of the best ways to grow this hobby is to develop communities that are able to negotiate in their native language. So really happy to see Robert taking the lead for that league, and hope that anyone who speaks German can reach out to Robert Schupa. Robert is on Discord. If you join the Virtual World Diplomacy Community Discord channel, there's a link to that on the DiploBN website and in our show notes that you can check out, and you can just message Robert or you can just comment on this broadcast and we'll get you connected. The French Diplomacy League is having their second to last game November 20th. Nexus Press League plays in waves that start every 2 weeks. Their second to last wave begins November 21st. French Diplomacy League will have their final game of the regular season December 3rd. The Virtual Diplomacy League will also have its final game of this season December 3rd, and that will be our next time for League Night. And then the Nexus Press League will start its final wave on December 5th. After that is completed, then the winner of the Nexus Press League for this season will be announced. And the top 7 players from the Virtual Diplomacy League will compete in the Virtual Diplomacy League Championship. Historically, that's happened in January, but those dates are yet to be announced. Ed, you've played a lot. Ed, you've played in a lot of league games. What's your favorite thing to, like, the difference between playing in a league as opposed to a tournament?
Well, it's both, right? You have to think about advancing in the right way. And I know my tournament strategy is typically frowned upon by DBN, but I'm a big believer in trying to be in the mix when the game, when the final game is being played, and not to be perceived as a threat. In league games, regular league games like the ones you went over, it's the same sort of thing, except it's even more longer term. You will run into people throughout a league, throughout a year, and how you treated those people will be remembered. And it's an extra layer to diplomacy that I like. And maybe it's why I play my face-to-face tournaments that way, because that's how I grew up, right? You're going to see the same people a lot of times. And if you build poor relationships with them in prior games, many people will remember those.
And that's also my favorite way to play. We, as a member of the Windy City Weasels, one of the more active diplomacy clubs in the United States, I got used to that. Like, you have to face these same people over and over. You have to try and look them in the eye and tell them the truth or not. And there's reputation that builds up, and it adds a layer to the game that doesn't exist in just a one-off house game or an online game where you are unlikely to play with those same people again. It's not something that everybody loves. It is definitely not. I always say league play is a variant. It is not by the book. But it's a lot of fun, and I liken it to the game of Survivor, where you're basically the people that you're competing against and perhaps eliminating or being eliminated by become your jury. And at the end of the season, a lot of times they will be the one to decide, who do I like the most out of this batch of people who've screwed me over all season? And it's a really interesting dynamic.
I will just
There are
say,
many.
it's not a completely. I'm sorry. It's not a completely unheard of dynamic, even in just the face-to-face tournament scene. You still have to worry about your rep, even in a one-off tournament. It's not like you're not going to see people again. It's a diplomacy skill that has always been part of your bag of tricks. The league just puts emphasis on it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It makes it more visible, because you're seeing it happen in one single event as opposed to multiple events that are scored uniquely. But yeah, I mean, in many ways, the circuit of face-to-face games can have a similar effect. And like if you play on Nexus Press League, Variant League, the community is. It's not small, but it's small enough that you are likely to play with many of the same players, and that effect is just something to be mindful of.
I'll give a shout out to the Olympus diplomacy on Discord. Olympus, like Mount Olympus, they are really trying to build a community where not dropping out of leagues or tournament games is encouraged and rewarded. And so the players that have been playing there have been pretty hardcore, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I will say, for anybody that has the opportunity to either play in or start a local club in your area, whether it's a geographic area or we've got various Discord servers and things like that, it's a great way to play the game. I would highly encourage it. Find your community, find your niche, go make some friends, have fun. That's what this game is all about.
In the deadline episode I'm releasing next week, and there'll be a little feature about the Denver Club and the fact that they're playing on newly created boards and with newly created hats.
I got a little sneak peek of that in the VWDC Discord server the other day. It looks so much fun. I love seeing the resurgence of that Denver hobby. It was once extremely active, and it's nice to see that coming back to life. All right, well, that's enough chit chat from all of us. Let's give the people what they want. Let's take a look at our games. So I was anticipating that we would probably have a little bit of drop off in VDL participation because it's only been 1 week since the WDC, and so many people were involved in either playing or organizing or traveling. And that did happen. So we've got only 3 VDL games tonight. And if we take a look at our top participants by DBNI ranking, you can see that a lot of the heavy hitters are not playing in the league tonight. So that's going to be one of the storylines I'm going to be watching tonight is what will the impact of those towards the top of the board in VDL or top of the leader list not playing, what is the impact going to be? But tonight, by DBNI ranking, we've got John Jameson, Morgante Pell, Jason Bennett, Tim Crosby, Jason Mastbaum, so on and so forth. So really excited to watch that. And anything anybody wants to, well, I'll just give both of you a chance to kind of give some predictions. Ed, who are the players that you are going to keep an eye on tonight?
You keep an eye on Jason Bennett. I got to play with him. He was a super friendly person. I can see why his diplomacy is going well. He's very calm in the storm, dedicated to improving his game, and I'm kind of rooting for him as a fan favorite. I think he'll hopefully do well and continue to stay in the top 7.
Yeah, Jason Bennett has been kind of the breakout rookie of the season in VDL and really on the DBNI circuit as a whole. We're going to definitely get a chance to watch him tonight. David, for you, what are you just hoping to see in tonight's games? We're coming to the end of the season. We've got this round and one more after it. What are you hoping for?
Well, I know we say this a lot on DBN, particularly on League Night, but I am looking for people to take some chances here. You know, there's not much point in being passive this late in the season unless you're coasting at the top. And even then, that might be a little dangerous in certain situations. But for particularly people that are coming into this and they don't have, you know, a number of boards that they're just improving the average of, they're actually adding scores. This will be a great time to take some chances, get some big results, and try to leapfrog over some of the people in front of them to get into that top 7.
Yep. And I just realized I was showing the wrong top participants. That was from the VDL, and I may have a bug in my system. Okay. Yep, I got it. Sorry, I'm just confused tonight. I apologize. Yeah, so let's go ahead and transition over, and we're going to take a look at where our standings are in the league right now. So, whoops. I just almost got it. Here we go. Okay, so we just saw that one.
We saw that one, and
Yeah.
you know who's really happy to see that twice is John.
John
Jameson,
Jameson.
Being at the top of the list is something
Yes.
that John he's making loud exclamations about it in a Scottish accent that I cannot understand.
There we go. Trying to get that off as fast as I could to bring you this screen. So the player that I'm going to be watching most tonight is going to be Jason Mastbaum. All right. So let's take a look at our first game. Having some interface problems tonight. Okay, so Dan Lester. This game is named after the most recent champion, world champion, Dan Lester. Ed, you were there on the ground. How did Dan do it?
He was the best diplomat. Look, I met that guy. I sat next to him at dinner on Friday, and I asked him where he was from. I had no idea who Dan Lester was. I didn't know him. I was just being totally ignorant. And when I'm that way, I just asked a bunch of questions, and I think he looked at me like in the most friendly British way. And he was so friendly. And everyone who played a game with him was telling me how friendly he was, even when he got stabbed, which happened, even when he stabbed other people, which happened. And I just kind of want to sit and have him teach me, because that's my path. Like, it's the diplomatic path. And he was amazing, and it was well deserved, although a little close. I don't think I would have played that last game like he did.
You know, I've known Dan a long time. I think the word to use there is smooth. He is a smooth character. And I don't know if Brandon Fogel will admit this, but he and I were talking before the tournament, before World DipCon started, and he asked me, who did I think the favorites were? And I said, Adam Siegel's got to be a favorite because he is really good and hasn't won yet, and he is a great player, and he's there to win. And then I said, and another guy that nobody's going to know hardly except me is Dan Lester, and he is always a threat. He's come in second twice at World DipCon in the past. That fella can play. And darned if he didn't pull it off.
Well, we are honoring his win tonight by naming this board after him. David, I'm going to have you start. You'll take the even years. Ed, you'll take the odd years. And we'll go get to it. Well, I like, first of all, to look at the French opening, because the French openings, as we all know, are the ones that have the most variety, really. And this is an opening I particularly like as France in a lot of situations, because you're putting the two armies north and putting some play on Belgium, and you're just taking one of the Iberian centers. You take the next one at your leisure. So Jelty doing that is what jumps out at me. Of course, the fact that Craig jumps into the Channel and goes to Wales means that having that army in Picardy is really helpful if he wants to, cover Brest or not cover Brest or take a shot at Belgium, whatever. You're also seeing the bounce in Burgundy there, which is probably arranged. But as far as the East goes, we've got Christian doing that, what has become the very popular Turkish opening. And then we've got the Italians doing another opening that I really like myself, as the Italians putting the army in Piedmont and Venice and allowing you, if you want to mess with the French early in the game. I really like the flexibility that gives you. Not the opening we're seeing so much with Venice to Trieste and just assuming that you're going to go and fight Turkey. Sometimes you give yourself some other options here, and that's what Rauno has done in Italy.
It's a very common press when you have time to coordinate three powers against France. You see this. The last time I saw three powers coordinate with France like this, I don't know if it's arranged or not in Burgundy. I suspect it's not, but maybe. And if it was, it's plausible deniability for Germany. But the last time I saw this level of coordination was when I believe Peter McNamara played France in Wieselmoot 2020. Maybe it wasn't Peter, but it was somebody playing France, and they all ganged up on him like this. And this is great. I mean, I don't typically see top players like Craig do this opening, but we shall see what happens.
This was why I didn't think Morgante, I thought this was arranged, because the fleet goes to Denmark. A lot of times, if you know you're going to jump on the French, you put that fleet in Holland. At least that's what I would think about doing, so that you've got play on Belgium as an anti-French, to follow up on your anti-French move. So that's why I thought that was arranged, but you're right, it's possible that he's just adding one unit to the coordinated attack on France instead of two units. Well, Craig Mayer is currently sitting in 8th place in the league and needs a good score in order to solidify his postseason play. Definitely not playing conservative here. We'll see how that pays off for him. You want me to take this or Ed take this? Yep, go ahead, David. We'll switch years. Well, I said you got that army in Picardy to potentially cover Brest. That's exactly what happens. I kind of doubt, that was arranged per se. Looks like that Ed's read on this was correct with Morgante going into Burgundy there. I'm very surprised that Jelty would go ahead and take Spain in this situation, giving the Italians in Piedmont, but that was a risk that he took. And unfortunately, that does not pay off for the French. Moving, of course, England had, because of their situation, they had to take Norway with the fleet here. You always hate to leave North Sea open. We'll see if that is a tempting target for Morgante. Venice to Trieste is another thing I'm seeing. Ionian to Aegean is probably means that Mikhail said that's fine, and this is an AI move against the Turks. You see what Christian's doing here with putting that army in Syria. The Andrew Goff, hey, come get me. If you're going to do the Lepanto, then have fun with that. Russia's going to take the lion's share, and of course, Russia takes the Black Sea.
Yeah, Wes is going to be licking his chops here.
So interesting in the East. We'll see if anybody breaks, but AI versus RT. For those of you who think about Marseille, you should go back. This exact scenario is discussed in Nicolas Sauguet's article on game theory and on a 50-50, like what is the right move. And ultimately his conclusion is bet on a diplomacy player moving a piece in a 50-50. Diplomacy players like to think they can do things, and I suspect France thought that was what was going to happen. That Piedmont didn't think Piedmont would go to Marseille. Obviously not, but holding is in this situation needed to be done. Actually, bouncing Burgundy, if you thought Germany was going there, would have been the thing to do. But holding at a minimum. Bad news for France. Great news for Morgante.
And for Rano, the other thing about that guess, as far as I'm concerned, is the consequences are so much worse if you're wrong here. If the consequence of just holding in Marseille is you don't get Spain, that's fine. At least you've got a decent defensive position. The consequence of losing Marseille here is critically terrible.
On winter 1901, we've got a 2-build Italy, which is always fun. Usually the question is, where are they going? And I guess that is still somewhat of a question, but definitely seeing a Western approach and doing it quickly, which is unusual. So fun to see this board state.
The one point I want to make is when you're France in this situation, and I've been more times than I can count, you have to make someone pay for this. And you have to really open yourself up to one or two powers to hope that they get greedy and not reward another. And so I don't know if this France is going to do that, but that is the only way out. You cannot defend everything from three powers.
Particularly if they've made this kind of, frankly, unusual progress in 1901. It's unusual for this attack to have gone into Burgundy and Marseille successfully. And so at that point, at this point, France really can't be defended, to be honest, unless you unhinge the thing diplomatically. So I kind of like the fleet build. Give yourself some play in the mid-Atlantic or somewhere. Make yourself possibly useful to one of the other powers here. Another army might be good defensively, but that's in the long run, that is a losing proposition.
Look, it might be a deal of giving Paris even to Morgante in exchange for another build, and how much further is Germany really going to go? So it could work. I like it.
I do too. The army build from West Ketchum in St. Pete is the safe build. It's probably the most popular build. The question I have for Wes is this a game where it's time to take some chances? And we might see him after this, but he didn't take a chance here with a fleet build.
Ed, it's your turn.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Well, my eyes are fixated to the west. I think France did a good job here of understanding that Gascony is the play and thwarting that. That means, for better or for worse, Paris is, Paris is out of, he'll keep Paris. Meanwhile, Craig convoys into Belgium with German support. Germany takes Sweden with English support. And then in the east, the big thing is Bulgaria gets taken. And Italy vacating for Venice now that Italy's making some progress, I guess, in the west. Michaelis asked him to do that. I'm a tad surprised that Michaelis self-bounced in Galicia as opposed to cutting Romania, but now Russians are in Galicia, making a little progress, and Russia is in Finland. And if I'm doing my math correctly, no, Norway should be safe in the fall.
I think that Austria at least thought this as an AIR, and maybe Russia still thinks that as well. You do have the Russians supporting the Italians into Con there as a way to bounce the Turkish move.
Oh, I didn't understand that order. I'm
Might
still
be
getting used to the
it
new
looks
map.
like it's an air, although the supporting move to Galicia makes you wonder. Okay, it's an air,
Yeah.
except for the Italians. So maybe it's just an AR now, because look, the Italians tried to snake Greece and get back into Trieste, or keep the Austrians out of Trieste.
Yeah. So I don't know who's going here, but yeah, I mean, if I'm reading it correctly, does Aegean make it to Greece? Is that a yes?
No. So the Aegean is red. The arrow is red. So that means that was not successful.
Oh, Khan support. Well, no one. I expected
Why is
Armenia.
that unsuccessful?
Oh, Armenia thought that.
It's going to be
thought there'd be a
convoy.
convoy to cut Greece. Instead, Michaela's just decided to take Ankara, which, by the way, is genius. I'm sorry, West thought he could take her, which is genius. And West also takes Sweden, right?
Well, he was going to after
Yes.
you put those two armies up there. There wasn't any way for them to defend it because Kiel was not already in the Baltic. We missed that. Why did that not go in the spring? Oh, I wonder. Oh, because he bounced it. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's just good moves on West's part there.
Yeah, Wes Ketchum's another player that's close to got a legitimate shot at some postseason play, but needs a good score here. Definitely taking some chances and kind of making some moves early.
Well, the Germans, getting into Picardy and Burgundy. I mean, can the EG stick together?
Well, I'm a little surprised in the spring that I guess I didn't comment on that Denmark didn't support Kiel to Baltic. Had that occurred, they could take Norway. I would take Sweden. I think.
Well, there would have been at least some guesses involved with the armies going to Finland and St. Pete. I don't know.
Fair enough.
But they're if the EG stick together, then this is just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Although Army Warsaw. Well, this would be the time to see if there are AR armies getting ready to jump into the dead zone. Prussia, Silesia, Bohemia, Tyrolia. We'll see.
And we've got is that an asterisk by the Austrians? Only 2 builds, but only one place to build it.
Right.
So
because they had to support themselves to Trieste.
Yep. All right, David.
All right. Well, the A's and the I's did not make up here, right? Oh no, he did support the Italians to Con. There's a little bit of goofiness in that relationship, I think. I mean, the supporting to Tyrolia has got to be Michaelis trying to get the jump on the Italians, putting them in Con maybe with the idea that you might kick them out in the fall or something. So the East, we also do see the move to Silesia and the move to Tyrolia. That is something Morgante was worried about, and you can see him coming back to defend. And the English going to Ruhr and letting the Germans in, we'll see in the fall turn what that really means. But the English had Russian support into Denmark, so maybe this is a turn of the screw.
I don't know what's going on here. Right?
It looks like the England and France are no longer at war. That's what it looks like. That's what English Channel to Irish means.
Well, England and Germany appear to be at war to me.
Right.
That's number one. Michaela seems to be at war with Italy while supporting him into Constantinople, if I'm reading that correctly.
I think that was intended so that they would somehow kick him out in the fall or something. Sometimes you do that to get him out of position.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
Although I'm not positive that's true. I don't know, but West is having a decent turn. You have to say that.
West picks up Norway in the fall. Picks up. No, I guess he gets Khan but loses Ankara. So
At least he stays even in Turkey, but Turkey's position's terrible, so that's not going to last long.
France now helping Germany by getting Germany into Marseille, which is good for France. And yeah, there's definitely the war against the Germans continued by the English, except Morgante will pick up Belgium, lose Denmark.
Yeah, the Austrians go, instead of taking a shot at Venice or something, they go around him. But there is clearly an Italo-Austrian war here, I think. As you can see, they did kick him out. They did kick the Italians out of Con in the fall.
As someone who's done this, it's difficult because of the fleet issue, lack thereof of Austria, but it can be done if you trust Russia or Turkey, as the case may be. Man, West is looking good.
There's a new fleet for the AR alliance in the Mediterranean, a new fleet in Sevastopol, which you have to have. You have to build Russian fleets and build a couple of more Austrian fleets eventually.
Normally, I don't love that second fleet build for Russia just because it takes so long for it to become in play. But with the French situation the way that it is, I don't know that I hate it in this particular circumstance.
And I miscounted. Germany gets Marseille and traded build, so they get a build. I'm curious what you guys think of the fleet build. I kind of like it.
That is a bold build that I'm not sure I would have done. Three fleets is awesome when you're Germany, of course, but in the position there, in the fleet's kind of blocked a little bit. I don't know. I would have thought about an army there, kick the Russians out of Silesia, maybe.
He's relying on France to be the armies.
And you see the issue here with Berlin. It's just sort of blocked. It can't really go anywhere because Kiel can't go anywhere. But you do like the going into Ruhr. Wait, is that no? That's bouncing. That's bouncing both directions. Okay, so that's a standoff with the Russians supporting it in. If Morgante was relying on the French, Morgante wasn't right. But we do get the Austrians now with the hammer on Venice. They had the three armies, so this couldn't be stopped. So they take Venice. The Russians start moving their fleets out. It really doesn't make that much difference. Well, maybe it will matter if the Turks can help the Italians hold Con in the fall. But the AR is clearly the alliance we're dealing with here, and you don't see that very often, particularly when Turkey's still alive, that they've already pulled the trigger on Italy here.
I think they're really benefited by this chaos that's going on in the West, which is the only way I think AR can work, which is a long-term alliance, given the Southern Fleet issue. All right, so in the fall,
FG convoy to Wales. Look at that, Ed.
I do see Belgium getting into Wales because Craig had to cover London. Now he's going to lose. Well, he might not lose Liverpool, right? Because he's got Holland here, so he'll be getting a build. There is FG cooperation here against ER, so there's an ER and an AR. If you're in two alliances, that's usually good for R, if you are the common denominator in this, especially when you pick up Smyrna and you're able to successfully take back Con. No, he didn't take back Con. I can't tell with the arrows. I have no idea.
The Russians took Con. The Russians
Yes.
took Con. That's the black outline of the arrow means the Russians. So that's exactly what I was saying, that they could kick him out in the fall, and they sure did.
And Russia took Smyrna.
And they took Smyrna with support from Aegean. This is quite a turn for West.
Is Ankara can't support Smyrna? Oh, Aegean is supporting Armenia into Smyrna. Okay,
Smyrna. That's what I was saying about why the Turkish position was so bad, because the fleet, of course, can't really coordinate very well with the army. It would be so much easier if there were two armies. I mean, it's just a matter of time there. Even though they're fighting the Italians, the AR's fighting the Italians, they're still in great position.
I'm wondering if there's a deal for Morgante to pick up Liverpool. It's weird to me to have France convoying the army of Belgium while also taking Marseille.
Well, it may have been that he wanted Marseille back, and Morgante and eventually convinced Morgante forcefully that he was going to take it back, but they're still patching things up because there's an ER, as Ed said.
Well, here's the thing.
The problem is that this is a
Morgante
fall
can't build
turn.
anywhere. And
Yeah,
Morgante can't build anywhere.
Well, this is a fall turn anyway, so that positional move in England's fine, but you've lost Holland.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, Morgante.
You have to kill that fleet that didn't really do you that much good, unfortunately, Morgante.
Actually, his fleet from Berlin is still there. It was the fleet in the Baltic that had to retreat to Prussia. But yeah, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. The extra fleet that didn't really do anything. We've got it. We've got West at 9, as you said, Ed. He's really benefiting from the alliance structure so far.
Yep. And I want to call out one of my favorite things to say. We've got an Austrian fleet build.
Which
I think we had to have that.
Had to have that, and that's a great thing for West to see.
Yeah,
because that is a commitment by McCarless that we're sticking with this AR.
Well, yeah, except the Russians now moved to Galicia. They're in Bohemia. They tap Bulgaria. And this is the natural move for West against a really savvy Michaelis, right? So it's unusual to see Michaelis get stabbed like this, particularly when Michaelis was so committed to killing Italy. Now we've got a third army on the boot. Yeah, he's going to pick up Rome, but all is kaput.
I was not expecting that move, and neither was McCarless, of course. But I was not expecting that move when Russia still had so much work to do in Germany. It's interesting. Maybe he's made a deal with Germany. I don't know.
Maybe, but he's also in Denmark. So, this is great. He's going to take Ankara in the fall. So,
like I said earlier, and Wes was one of the people I was hoping might take some risks here at the end of the season. This is some risky play. Of course, this is the kind of stuff you need to do if you're going to be a big Russia. It's hard to be a slow and steady Russia because of the straddling the stalemate line. You have to take chances in both theaters, and he sure is doing that.
So I like the David Hood aggression now in the fall, right? When you're Russia, you can't defend everything when you're trying to grow like this. This is a lesson I need to learn. I'm too defensive. So I like, look, Wes is now in Vienna. He's in Bulgaria. He loses Romania. He takes Ankara. He also, I think he had a unit in Denmark, but he couldn't hold that. So, great turn by Russia. Michaelis convoys Apulia to Albania. That's classic Michaelis, although I don't know if Italy thought that he would lose Rome, especially when Austria has no place to build in the fall, given what West has done. That was a little cheeky. Meanwhile, Germany and Morgante, he takes back Denmark with the fleet, but loses Munich, loses Belgium, gains Holland. By my math, he's even.
The problem West has now is he made that great move, but now he has no ally at all because England and Germany have worked together against Denmark. So I guess his ally might be France from the other side, and that can work. If there's a big Russia, that's usually good for France and vice versa. But it might be hard to coordinate. Of course,
I don't know if I like.
You're at 11. You're building 3 and at 11. Maybe you just hope that the game's going to end soon or something.
I'm not sure I like the French build.
Yeah, the fleet. I don't know. Hey, why don't you like the fleet build? You think a 4th army would have done him a whole lot of good here, unless he's going to go into Piedmont?
I thought a fleet in Marseille might be appropriate. I
see.
Who's your friend? Okay, England just helped Germany. Germany and France have been together. Russia's been a threat. What does this fleet signal? If you're Craig, why are you cooperating anymore? I'm not sure I would cooperate.
No, I agree. The fleet build to me in the north means that maybe he is going to just try to take advantage of the strong Russia and get some centers that are close to him. And those centers belong to England and or Germany.
I'm not seeing Germany help. Right. This is what I would think Germany would do.
Gosh. I hear the Marseillaise playing in the background as the armies go to Munich and Ruhr and Belgium and the fleets are moving out. This is, I hear the French national anthem playing in my head.
This is sort of an analog to letting Turkey live. When you let France live like this is almost, we're seeing the Turkey of the West now, just sniping, leaving Germany alone there, but taking Munich. Ouch.
Is Craig just sort of throwing his hands up and going into survival mode outside his country or something? It's the only way I can really read North Sea to Norway, given.
I think there was a deal somehow, but it's not going to work out for Craig. I don't, particularly with this France, it's a night of long knives right now. France is ready to exact some pain on people.
And England and Germany are both moving units away from France. It's interesting. I guess West literally had no friends and still has no friends. Everybody's trying to attack him here. There's a French army in Silesia.
So, yeah, it's a Western triple where everybody hates each other.
It's my preferred way to play the Western triple.
I got to take this call from my. I think this call from my son, so I'm going to go on mute.
Okay, Wes is certainly holding his own in the Balkans, isn't he, Brian?
Yeah, it's fascinating to me to see, because Russia is such a fragile power. It can go big really, really fast, which we just saw, but it can also be pushed back. I think the real thing Wes has got to be hoping for is perhaps some bad blood between some of the other players. Once the board is balanced a little and he doesn't look like as large a threat, that maybe they'll return back to sniping each other. But yeah, in the Balkans, which in the East, that the person who can control the Balkans tends to win in the East. He's definitely doing well at defending those centers. I don't know if it'll be able to do both theaters.
Well, that was what I said when he moved on Austria. I said, I think at the time, I'm a little surprised he does that without having really control of the German front, which he didn't have and does not have and is not going to get unless he can ferment some discord there in the West between those partners who are all moving east at this point.
I guess if I were West, 1905, I'm up 11 centers, the closest competitor at 7. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to win this. Let's draw. And I'm very curious to know whether there were open vetoes or hidden vetoes. But if there were draw votes happening at this point in the game, it would be fun to kind of get some insight into that.
Yeah, going back down to 9 here. Now we'll see if that causes the everybody against Russia coalition to potentially change. I don't know that McCarless is going to be interested in changing his tune, but we'll see about the fleet. The German fleet build in Belgium is fascinating. I'm sorry, in Berlin is fascinating because that can't be of much good against the Russians. That can only be good against his fellow Westerners. Am I right or am I right?
You're right. So that was the standout build for me. Ed, this is what surprised me. You get
Wes openly vetoed? Wow.
That's interesting. So Ed, we've got the fleet build in Belgium by Germany.
Now I said that and then you copied me. It's Berlin.
Berlin, yes.
Yet another fleet build by France, which I guess France has to do, but
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is it an F? I guess. Yeah. Well, this is all bizarre.
Well, it's now we've done. Well, excuse me. We've done what we needed to do to stop Russia. Now what? And the French
Russia's kind of contained.
The French answer to this: I'm going to control the seas, and I like that answer myself.
I like the French build. I'm just questioning. I'm not understanding the German build, I Yes.
I agree.
And I'm not saying it's a wrong build. I'm just not understanding it.
This is like saying, I hate Wes, except he doesn't do that.
No, he doesn't. I thought the fleet built meant that he was doing something different. Because an army you could use, a fleet you can really only use against one of your Western partners here. And that's got to be what's happening now.
I guess my question is, if that was your strategy, which I don't disagree with, why not build in Kiel? I mean, maybe
Because you're hoping to fake somebody out, I
Yeah.
think.
That's why I'm not where Morgante is in this game. It's just too clever for me. All right.
All right, so Bulgaria is piffed. Look at the Italians going backwards to bounce the French. That's an interesting thing also.
Look at Tyrolia to Piedmont.
Yeah.
This game's hilarious. I think it's been really
France
well
was
played.
France was starting to look like maybe they were going to be out of control. So that might be McCarless's way to try to balance that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, if that's true, just take a shot at Munich. Well, I guess in theory, he could have taken Marseille. That's what it is. So the French sniff that out and go back to Burgundy.
I have a very basic question to you, diplomacy gods. What country owns the army in Galicia?
Right
That
now,
is English.
Yeah,
that
it's
is
English.
That is Craig Mayer. That is what we call the British Expeditionary Force, the BEF, and it has gotten all the way to the Russian front.
That is awesome.
So we have not done this yet, and I have no idea, but I want to get both of your opinions. Who do you like in this game? Put you on the spot right now, David. Who's going to top?
I still think, excuse me, I still think that Wes Ketchum has the best shot. I know he's ahead right now, but he's also going to lose Bulgaria, and so who knows? But I think that Wes has a chance here, with Morgante turning around, maybe can use Morgante to somehow keep right above the other players. This game can't go on forever. If it was an unlimited game, I'm not sure I would say Wes, to be honest. But with a game that is going to end at some point, I think Wes has the best chance, but it's not over 50% chance. It's the best chance among the other. There are other people that also have significant chances.
Ed?
Too close to call. Honestly, there's a lot of people who could win this game. And I think a lot of it depends on how many hours have been played. I think it's 7.5 hours. It's usually till 1910. I think Michaelis has a shot. France has a shot. West has a shot.
How about
No
the
one else
British
does.
Expeditionary Force? You're not giving Craig a shot. Come on.
Well, Michaelis is going to use it, right? So it'd be curious to see how that happens. Oh, boy, as David Hood would say. Piedmont is in Marseille. That's what I'm taking out of this. Tunis bounces. It's like nothing else. Oh, Romania is retaken by the Russians. But look at this France. Look at this France. Okay, yes, you lose Marseille. That's not good. But you pick up London. You pick up Edinburgh. You got a friend in Germany. Back to being friends. And the sacrifice there was Marseille because he was worried about the retreat to Belgium. I mean, he had some choices. He knew this was a possibility.
Yeah. He definitely knew it was a possibility, but he's trying to, corner that guy by putting the fleet in Spain, trying to corner and deal with him in the next year. It's either that or there was some kind of deal with McCarless, but I don't think it's the latter.
I want to call out Wes Ketchum's play in Bulgaria. I did not see this one coming. That once again, we got better players on the board than myself. Really, really nice job of making the right choices here to both defend Romania and take back Bulgaria or avoid losing it. Really, really impressive.
Do I understand that at the end of this year, Craig Mayer's empire consists of Norway? Is that right?
That is
And go
correct.
and go. Well, maybe as a center, but I hope he disbands Norway.
And keeps the expeditionary force. That would be fun. That would be fun to see. He's got some choices to make here.
Not that
Come
one.
on, Craig. So boring.
That's, for some reason, he's not doing this for our enjoyment, but perhaps for his own.
It's
That army could have made it to Romania, Craig. Norway's going to get killed.
that conservative Craig Mayer play that we're all familiar with.
This has been an exciting game. That is one thing we can say about this game. This has not been some kind of scripted thing that we've all seen before. I don't think any of us have seen this game before, at least not this season in the VDL. And you know how much fun that is.
And you know what else I have not seen? We've got another fleet build from Germany in Berlin.
That's telling France, dude, I'm not bothering you at all.
He's got 4 frickin' fleets, does Morgante Pell. And as we know, he had another one at one point that got eliminated. So it's a lot of fleets.
All right. Go to the spring. I don't know who's doing what, but
you're doing this, Ed Sullivan. I want to hear what you've got to say about this turn.
All right. Well, interestingly, Marseille's not Marseille is safe for now, but I think he'll get that in the fall. Germany takes Craig, but Craig makes a deal with Russia for his kindness in disbanding Galicia. So Craig may live in Sweden. And wow, the David Hood prediction of Wes is probably going to hold on here. Look at this. He's in Silesia. He's in Romania now, putting the vice on Austria. Sort of fantastic play. I can only imagine Wes's time to negotiate all these things with Italy, Germany, Austria. He's got to be spending a lot of time with people right now. Anyways, that's what's happening.
Agreed.
Played a lot of games with Wes Ketchum. He's usually had the upper hand, but this is, I think, one of the best games I've seen him play. So really, really impressed.
Well, it's not over yet. He could still stub his toe.
He could, and I've seen that happen as well. But so far, this has been one of the best games I've seen him play.
Wes Ketchum has taken Galicia again.
He had it in 1902. Took him 6 years to get it back.
You're right. You were right about Marseille, Diamond. That was a fairly obvious move there. Look at the support from Silesia supporting Bohemia and Munich. Are they making up? Interesting.
Why Morgante? Look at this. He has to cover Berlin, and he also has to support Munich. But then he takes London, and now he has no place to build.
But if he did have a place to build, we all know what he would build, which would be
another fleet. Yeah, that's right.
So, interesting 50-50 to me. Wes Ketchum not choosing to cover St. Pete and going for Norway instead. Do you like that, David?
I do, not just because it worked out. I like it because he's trying to leave that open for a build, I think. He was hoping that if he got a build, of course, I don't know no, he wouldn't have gotten the build anywhere, so that couldn't have been what it was.
I realized Germany, by the way, lost Sweden, so there is no build. That's a trade.
Yeah,
Norway and Sweden.
Well, he tried to, I see, he hit Norway to try to, he's defending Sweden is what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah, defending Sweden, and if, and
if the Germans have gone into St. Pete, so what? You've got it. You're now taking Norway. You've St. Pete. The fleet back there can't really do anything.
Yeah.
So maybe that would have been the theory as well. So that would have been a German unit out of position.
Good play from France.
Yeah, hasn't Jelty's play been really, really good in this game? Also, given where he started and a couple of missteps in the beginning, letting the Italians into Marseille and stuff like that. Really been able to bounce back here, taking advantage of the fact, as I said earlier, that when you have a big Russia, you typically, not always, but typically are going to have opportunities for France because you're pushing against the same people.
And I'll just call out like how effective the board has been at maintaining balance. You had a runaway leader, everyone reacted, set aside the chaos that they had for a little bit, and now we've seen some really smart plays by France and to some extent by Michaelis around choosing where to take their opportunities after keeping West from running away with it.
Look at the Army Trieste build, not Vienna. You know, it looked like they had patched up. That's got to be what that build means, is that they're patched up, doesn't it? Unless you're doing it to defend Serbia or something.
I don't know. I think West was trying to. I think. Well, I don't know. I that support from Bohemian. I don't know why Michaelis would take that. So anyways, it's all very interesting to me.
I wonder if that was unsolicited. But anyway, here we've got the Russians moving away, so that I think there's at least arguably a deal here
No, you're right,
with the AR.
but not
All right,
too much by A. That's all arranged. That Bohemia, you know, all that looks
Yeah.
like I'm not going to move too far away from you. Don't quite trust you yet. But Michaelis snags Tunis. Ouch. I don't know if he'll keep it, right, with 4 fleets surrounding it and Rome now wide open for Italy. I think Italy's going to go take Rome.
We'll see. I mean, I think he's coordinated that with the Austrians. I don't know.
Austria.
Do we think this is negotiating into a draw state, or is this players recognizing this could be the final year, or definitely no more than 1 year?
There's an awful lot of activity and movement for this to be, let's get to a draw. You know what I mean? I think Russia's trying to get in position to perhaps do something in Berlin. You've got the French and the Germans now working together. It looks like Craig might not be long for the world.
Yeah, this isn't good.
Yeah, he can't do anything in the fall except lose.
Oh, he makes it though, right? Or no, yeah, he's gone.
No, he was
Yeah,
trying
he's
to
got
convince
it,
the
yeah.
Germans to vacate Sweden.
Yeah, he may have thought of self-bounce. Instead, Germans just lose Sweden to France, his buddy.
Yeah, and the Austrians were not able to keep Tunis because you were totally right, Ed. Look at the Italians taking Rome back. But the French convoy into Tuscany, they've really made significant progress here. We'll see what the center count here is at the end of the turn. But North Sea to Denmark is not going to help West's chances here. Yeah, that's what I figured. I couldn't count it up that quickly, but yeah, France has now gone ahead.
Yeah, this is really good for France.
I would not have predicted that we'd be looking in spring of 1910 at a French board top position whenever we saw spring of 1902.
That just goes to show you, you just got to keep working. And there are situations that get so bad there's nothing you can do, but you need to try to see if there's something you can do, and he did. Things broke his direction also, but he took advantage of them correctly.
I don't know, but I'm going back to 1902, and I would not have wanted to be France on this board.
Right. So Morgante is totally going to be helping France get the board top here. Probably West's relationship with West just wasn't good enough. So in terms of what Morgante's wanting here, his game is pretty much over. So he's going to try to make sure that he gets what he can while France gets the board top. It looks to me like Austrians taking out that army in Tuscany is a good move, as could be expected from Michaelis Comarites. Yet another good move. All those moves in the east, for those learning this game, those moves between Austria and Russia, that's all arranged to try to keep that border secure while they attempt to nail down a defense against the French.
And I'll also shout out Michaelis's play. There were a couple times that I did not think that things were looking in Austria's direction. Definitely, I love this set of moves. I've been very impressed with some of the decisions that were made here. Michaelis definitely showing why he's one of the perennial favorites on any board that he's on.
The other
Just
thing I want to say is
fine.
about Morgante, just briefly. Okay, game over. That makes sense. Morgante getting up to 7 here also shows some really diplomatic chops. I mean, obviously his physical position is weird. His diplomatic position was great. That's why he was able to get his center count up there, because he hitched his wagon to the correct star. It didn't matter that he didn't own one of his home centers.
He's a 4th-fleet Germany. He hasn't had home center in forever. He's got an army stranded in Wales.
But he's got 7. He's got more supply centers than McCarless does at the end of this game, which I think is just classic Pell.
Super play.
Well, congratulations to Jelty in France. Very, very impressive comeback and win as France. Very, very impressive. Thank you.
I
And,
would want to see this game keep going. This is a game that does not, in my mind, have a natural conclusion.
So, Ed, if that were the case and this game keeps going, whose position would you want to be?
Well, it's hard to say no to France in that position. I mean, he had dominance in the Med. I mean, I think France could have kept going. I think France could have pushed further. And Germany was all there for the taking, as was England eventually. And with AR continuing to fight, it's hard to argue against France. But I think Michaelis is a very dynamic player, as is Wes. And as is Morgante. So there could have been a lot of play left.
Well, after that game, we've got. Oops, that's not right. Something's wrong with my standings there, so I'm not going to bring those up. But we've got some shakeups from that game. Some players that were on the bubble moving up into the top 7. We'll see how that plays at the end of the night. Now, though, let's take a look at our next game. And we've got VDL Game 118, Chris Brand, named after the 2016 World Champion and frequent analyst here on the Diplomacy Broadcast Network. In Austria, we've got Vancouver and Scotland's own John Jameson. England, Mohammed A. Happy to have Mohammed joining us again. France, we've got Matthew Tatanchi, who I believe, in 16th place, so was one of the Bubble Watch last month, just below that this time. In Germany, we've got Cody Green from Fort Wayne. Glad to see Cody back. Italy, Jason Bennett, Rookie of the Year looking like for VDL so far. Russia, we've got Tornado Tommy Anderson from Massachusetts, and that will always be an entertaining game when Tommy's on the board. Entertaining for us, maybe not for the other players. And in Turkey, we have Ian Rednick. Good to see Ian. So good mix of players from lots of different environments in this one. We've got some face-to-face players, some folks who joined us during the virtual league, and some players that have predominantly been playing extended deadline and are making their foray into virtual play. Let's take a look at our map. And Ed, I'm going to go ahead and have you start as lead analyst for this one.
All right, so I was going to say that this game should be profiled as consistency versus craziness. Ian is a very young guy. I met him at WDC. I played with him in VDL like 3 weeks ago. He's definitely an up-and-comer, and he played Turkey in that Western triple game that decided the board. Jason is very reliable. And then you've got Tommy and John Jameson in Austria and Russia and Austria, respectively. They are unpredictable. And so right now you see the Southern Hedgehog with Austria bouncing Jason out of Trieste. By the way, John, I don't know if I would have done that, except that Rome moved to Venice is probably the right thing to do. But I don't think Jason's the kind of guy to take Trieste and not try and help you. You lose Galicia. This is all probably bad for John Jameson as I look at this.
I think he sniffed out that Jason was coming after him, which Jason was. Now, I don't think Jameson had any choice here.
I say kudos to John Jameson for making that. Southern Hedgehog is not an opening that we see very often anymore, and with good reason. I don't think it's not good for either Austria or Italy in most cases when this scenario happens from a tempo standpoint. Usually gives advantage Russia, so keep an eye on that. But man, if you know that's coming and you've got Rome moving to Venice, I can't take that any other way but to say this is not that's not an AI set of moves.
This could be an arranged bounce in the English Channel. What do you guys think? With the army going to Yorkshire, I mean, that sometimes people do that.
I thought it was arranged. My first instinct was that this is arranged, and if you're France, you don't particularly want this, but you know, what are you gonna? You're gonna get one build. You're not. You don't. Maybe you get two, but only one when you do this.
One build France is just fine. Just fine. You get the second one next year, no problem. You're so greedy, Ed Sullivan.
I like 3 builds as France.
That's greedy. Although, here's the interesting thing here is Mohammed decides not to convoy to Norway. That's certainly a very pro-Tommy Anderson thing to do. Tommy actually gets bounced from Sweden. You know, we don't see that all that often in today's meta. Used to in the old days sometimes. A little bit less so now, and we do see the bounce here. We see the Germans actually getting the 3 builds.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't normally love bouncing Sweden when I'm Denmark, but I'm a lot more likely to do it if Germany's sitting, or if Russia's sitting in Galicia already. So in this particular circumstance, I don't know that I would have done it, but I certainly understand it more.
You balance of power, people. Russia looks like they're a little up. Let's take them down in size. As opposed to just making a deal with them and being friendly with them and going and killing somebody together.
You know who likes 3 builds is Germany.
Fleet Berlin.
I think I would have switched Kiel and Berlin, but other than that, I like it.
You know, you do this if you're going to Ruhr with support and various things like that. You want to have another army to do it that way, because I guess would be the way to do that. If it's going to Baltic anyway, it doesn't make that much difference. But I mean, obviously, it's more flexible with Kiel. But this is a real commitment to the EG, is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is.
You know, we haven't talked as much about the East here, but we had an AI rapprochement there at the end of 1901, I think. And you can see that the Turks actually take a shot at Romania here and survive and win.
They do.
Ian doing a little AT action here with support of the Austrians. Now the real question is now what does the Jason Bennett John Jameson relationship, what does that turn into when there is a AT cooperation? We're getting ready to find out in the fall turn. Let's look back at the West again. This was what I meant earlier about when you build the army in Kiel, then you can do the supported attack into Ruhr to make sure that the French don't get there, and you can take a supported attack at Burgundy, which he does.
Yeah, he does.
That's real progress there.
Yeah, I'm curious about the move into Sweden. I suspect Germany will be in Sweden in the fall.
Tommy, what are you doing going to Moscow? Why am I asking the question? It's simply the tornado was forced by prevailing winds to go south.
He's worried about Turkey, obviously. Yeah.
I guess so, but what's the situation in the north? Maybe he's just seeding the north here.
I mean, if you've got an AT that's obviously working together, and you can't get diplomatic pressure from Jason to kind of slow that down, you've got to make a choice somewhere.
If there's an AT, you don't go to frickin' Bohemia.
If there's an AT, do you support Tunis to Ionian? When it doesn't need support?
Well, we don't.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. We don't really know what this is going to mean for the Italian-Austrian relationship. We're getting ready to find out exactly whose side Austria is on, or for that matter, if Austria turns out to be the odd man out. Oh, there we go. Austria, in fact, is the odd man out.
I was going to say at the beginning, I think Jason and Ian will find their way together. You know, like they probably didn't know all these players, and then they got in this game, and they're like, "Whoa, we might be the only two sane people playing." And I know John's listening. I love him. I like your
Actually,
daughter.
now let me. I'm gonna stand up for John. I'm gonna stand up for Tommy. It is not that those people are insane at all. In fact, both of them are good diplomacy players.
They are.
And John is really good when he applies himself. He just sometimes does things as a wild hare. But John is a very experienced player. The fact that he's getting creamed here is not because of any kind of insanity. I think it's just good moves on the part of the I's and the T's. And in this case, Russia looks like they're perhaps, going to benefit from this, at least in the short term. The thing I wanted to say was the West, though. Look at the West. The Germans are moving back away from the French now. After taking that strong position, they have left and put the English have an English convoy into Belgium. So England's getting Sweden and Belgium.
I don't know what Cody's doing here.
Yeah, the Germans moving from Holland to Kiel just really makes no sense to me.
They don't take Sweden, so that's a build for England. Mohammed gets another build in Belgium. They're fleeing. They got a disband now. I assume it'll be Burgundy looking at this moveset. I don't know what's going on.
That's got to be an arranged give to the English. Almost got to be, because there wouldn't be any reason to move back to Munich like that with support. All of that looks like some sort of arrangement. An arrangement to do what yet? I'm not sure.
Well, we'll tell by this French build something, right? Are we going to see a fleet build in Brest?
Or perhaps Marseille, if this is some kind of
Western triple.
Right.
Western sort of weird late breaking Western triple thing. Army Marseille, that's the Germans are still in Ruhr kind of build. I mean Burgundy kind of build.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So maybe some EF love here with the army build in London, fleet build in Edinburgh. Maybe we're going to see England vacate the Channel now. Maybe.
There are a lot of possibilities here. Sometimes by winter 1902, you see some strong alliances that you can sort of predict what's going to happen. I don't think I can predict a spring 1903 here. I'm not sure exactly what's happening in the Balkans. In the East. I'm definitely not sure what's happening in the West. So this is fascinating.
It's a lot of unusual things going on here. All right, so we go to spring 1903. French are in Burgundy because the Germans are vacating. I don't know what Belgium's doing. Some sort of support. Supporting Gascony to Burgundy. Okay. But didn't vacate the Channel. All right. Germany finally does get into Sweden with Russian help. Didn't need Russian help the last time, but all right. Ignore that. Turkey's in Romania, but just puts the fleet in. Maybe that's the end. Let's see.
Also convoying to Greece is Ian Rudnick.
Yeah. Now I see that. Yeah, that's with the Italians are just vacating it. Maybe he got. It's hard to tell. Like if he sniped that in for. I think he just was going for it.
It is a little bit hard to tell, honestly. I just find this particular game fascinating. There is all sorts of stuff going on. It looks like an FG friendship has developed here. Am I right? I think. And I like Denmark. Don't you guys like Denmark to Skagerrak? Sniffing out the fact that fleet rearrangement was necessary for Muhammad to get his fleets into position, and he's blocked it.
The other thing is, John Jameson points out in the comment, watch that Bohemia went to Vienna. I'm sure Mr. Jameson did not appreciate Serbia getting cut, or Vienna getting cut, preventing him from taking Trieste. And we may see the wrath of John Jameson on Tombstone Tommy Anderson.
All right, so Ian's saying that Greece was arranged. It sort of looked that way because there wasn't any good reason otherwise. Yeah. It's great to have these guys in the chat that can sort of help us understand things where we don't understand them. But I'm really enjoying watching this game. Really. Indeed.
Now we see why it was arranged. Italians are in Serbia. The Austrians are in Romania. Look at this, a diplomatic effort by Jason here to go to Serbia, whereas Serbia is sort of fighting Turkey. Turkey retreats to Sev, so maybe that was agreed to as well. The East is kind of pulling together here with this sort of three-way. How long, we don't know. In the West, Germany wants Burgundy back, Belgium back, and so he takes it. But slight little problem. Munich is now under threat. Who knows what's going on here? Anyways,
Well, that is the FG with the French coming in behind them now. Thing maybe this wasn't an FG. I don't know that John is even involved in this. I think this is just an IT Kraken. I think the Kraken has been released in the East, and John is just a target as much as Tommy is.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and go through one more year, and then we're going to go ahead and switch over to our Tour of Britain games, give these games some time to breathe a little bit, and then we'll come back to it. We don't want to move too far ahead since this game is ongoing. Host mea culpa. I thought there were two games in the early rounds and one in the evening. I had them flip-flopped, so apologize for that. But we'll go ahead and finish through 1904.
Okay. You know, the IT Kraken, you know what you do when you're the Turks? You build armies.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they've done.
they've built armies.
That is clearly what the alliance structure is. You know, I always like to see things that we don't see very often. We don't see the IT as much as sometimes we'd like. Cody, you're going to have to build a lot more fleets as Germany before you can catch up to Morgante's fleet building acumen. But he does build a fleet here in Kiel.
I mean, I don't know if I like this Turkish. I know that you're trying to. Maybe I would have waved one. We'll see how it turns out.
You talking about the Turkish two armies?
Yeah.
Well, because you want to put one in Armenia to flip flop and put the Sev down to black and all that. That's what you're trying to do.
It's a lot of work.
Hey, nobody said this would be easy. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden, to quote the song.
All right, spring 1904. Turkey does what Turkey must do if they're to have a real chance, which is they've closed around every space in the Black Sea at this point. They've completed the circle. John Jameson does not get, well, I can't tell. I don't know. Somebody
takes Serbia. He takes Serbia.
Okay, he got into Serbia. He got Serbia back. Okay, so John he's back. He's going back west. Tommy's devoting everything to the anti-Turk thing. It's going to be too little too late now for Tommy. France setting up a perfect execution of what you need to do when you take out England. For newer players, I've learned the hard way. The North Atlantic's a great space. Much better than the Irish for many reasons, but Gascony will now be able to convoy directly into Liverpool, made up with Germany. And so FG, I guess, is back on, David.
Yes, it is. That is. Cody was looking at the Ruhr to Burgundy and saying, yes, we have got a deal. And Matthew, as you said, has set up the cool convoy if he wants to Liverpool, for example, from Brest, if he wants to do that. Cannot be stopped. He can still cover Brest if he wants to with the other army. So things are going well for the what I call the Charlemagne alliance in the West, the FG versus the E.
Well, he'll do it with Gascony.
Or Gascony, sure. That's actually, you're right. That makes way more sense. Never mind.
We
Good
may
point.
be caught up here, so we will go ahead and pause here and
Okay.
let this game go a little bit longer. And we're going to go ahead and switch over now to our other league. Before I do that, though, let's go ahead and play Who Do You Like? I'm going to pull the board away, so take a quick look at it. And then I'm going to pull up the Tour of Britain games while y'all make some predictions about who you like in this game.
when Turkey has done what Turkey has done by 1904, Turkey should be at 14 by 1910.
I was getting ready to say, way to go, Ian, because in today's meta, just not getting killed as the Turks is a good thing, and being able to be in that position. But I'm going to go with France here with Matthew Tatanchi. I think his position is going to be better in the long run. So that's going to be my pick at this point of the game.
All right. Well, let's take a look now. We're going to go across the world to the Isles of Great Britain. And
My
that
man
would've been
Wardy.
a
Let's go, Wardy.
Great transition if I had remembered to share it on screen. It's been one of my best ones ever. And here we go. So, Tour of Britain. So today we are going to be looking at a few rounds. We've got, let's see, rounds 1 through 4. We've viewed on League Night in the past. Tonight we're going to be looking at rounds 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're just going to do a quick recap of rounds 5 and 6, and then we're going to do the full boards for round 7 and 8. These games have played. Many of us already know the outcome, but for those that don't know, we're going to go ahead and treat this as if it's new, because it's new to some in our audience. And I can tell you that it's extremely close. So we're going to be taking a look at the scores and the outcomes as we go. So first up, moving into round 5. So after 4 rounds of play, Tim Crosby is leading the Tour of Britain with 21 points. Jason Bennett is in second with 14, tied with Debian's own Zachary Moore with 14 points as well. And then we've got Ben Kelman, Christopher Ward right behind them. And in round 5, we'll go ahead and take a look at our in-state. So in round 5, we've got Christopher Ward and Jason Bennett tying for a board top, sharing a board top with a nice winter green. In this game, I believe we saw, yes. Let me see if this is it. No, okay, I'm just thinking of a different game. But yeah, so for this game, we've got Jason Bennett and Christopher Ward both coming in with a good score. The result after that round is Tim Crosby stays on top, but Jason Bennett moves into second place, just 4 points away, and Chris Ward is in third, solid third, at 19 points. So much closer than it was going in. League doing a good job of trying to manage the leader and keeping them from running away with it. Going into round 6, we've got Jason Bennett again coming in with another top, this time a solo top, and this is the game I was looking at earlier. Jason making a move. Where is it? I think it was yeah, here it is. In spring of 1907, Jason making a move on his ally to go ahead and solidify the points that he needs to ensure that he tops in 1908. So after those rounds, we've got Jason Bennett taking the lead. So 26 points, Tim Crosby in second with 24 points, Christopher Ward in third with 23 points, clearly separating from the rest of the board at 14. So as we go into our next 2 games where we are going to watch the moves and do full commentary, what we're looking at is basically 3 players that are in easy contention for that top, and there's no top board for Tour of Britain, so this is a race format. Whoever ends after these next 2 rounds, whoever's got the most points will win the event. So taking a look at round 7, our players for Paddington, Austria's got Cody Green, who we saw in VDL earlier. England, we've got Mohammed A, which we also saw in VDL. France, Christian Brown, who we saw in VDL. Germany, we've got Rano Vesky, who we saw in VDL. Italy, Christopher Ward, which I don't think we've seen play today, but we have seen many times. Do want to shout out Christopher Ward for his great coverage and organizing SpireCon. David, you did that broadcast with Christopher Ward and Robert Schupa. You want to just tease that a little bit for our audience?
Yes, this was our first attempt to cover a European-based face-to-face tournament, SpireCon, happening in the Chester area, I think, of sort of middle western England. And it was fun to do. Robert Schupa was a great addition to the broadcast, as well as Christopher Ward. So that is available on our DBN channel on YouTube. Go back and watch that. You know, the players were playing in a little bit of a different meta than we're used to here on League Night, and it is always fun to see players playing differently in different parts of the world and in different types of tournaments.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about diplomacy being a global hobby. And one of the reasons that I do like to see local communities kind of play together, they develop their own meta. And then when we bring that all together here on DBN, that's very entertaining for all of us. And I think it's educational. Sometimes we can challenge common conceptions, learn new things, and that's how we grow and get better at this game.
As the European face-to-face hobby bounces back, we hope to have more Game Day Europe broadcasts.
Absolutely. And thank you for representing DBN and North America so well, David. And especially thanks to Christopher Ward and Robert Schupa for their help in getting that on air. Speaking of someone who could improve by experiencing more metas, we've got my co-host of DBNI Countdown Show, Zachary Moore. Zach and I are going to, we're planning to do a countdown broadcast within the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned here on DBN to watch out for that. Really looking forward to getting that on air again. And Jason Bennett, once again, showing up in Turkey. So let's watch what happens with this one. We've got Jason, Christopher Ward, as kind of the players in contention. Zachary Moore, kind of a distant 4th place.
Don't say that. That's harsh.
only saying what's true. All right. Spring 1901. David, I'm going to have you lead off in the spring. Take it away.
Second game in a row, we're seeing Venice to Trieste. Isn't that interesting? I'm sorry, Vienna to Trieste. Because we don't see that very often in today's world. We used to see that more in the old days, to be perfectly honest with you, but not as much nowadays when we have a lot more AI friendship. The Italians, though, think, well, I'm going to Piedmont to mess with the French.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. We also have seen less of what the Turkey has done here, which in Chicago they call the Matt Sundstrom opening, the sort of go to Armenia from the beginning kind of move. Haven't seen as much of that lately. We see it here, so that's fun to see also. And perhaps the second game in a row we've seen an arranged bounce in the English Channel. Perhaps.
I think it's the same guy. I think it's Muhammad.
Yep.
He played England in the other game. I think this is Muhammad's strategy.
Now, we've seen what happens in 1901 when you assume the Italians are not going to go to Marseille in the fall. We'll see how Christian plays this one.
This is a much tougher call.
Same thing
That's
happens.
not for Christian.
Same thing.
I could go to Portugal.
He neither goes to Marseille nor stays in Spain. He goes to Portugal.
Christian, I don't like that move. Now you're 2 away. Sorry, man. I know I rag on you because I love you, but that's not the move I would have made. Boy, this is another game that doesn't open up particularly well for France. Not getting Belgium Stuck in Portugal, which should be a movie, Stuck in Portugal. And in the East, what do we have here? Well, Wardy's happy. He gets Tunis and Marseille. He puts the fleet in Tunis, so I think we're going to see the Western moves from Wardy there. Meanwhile, Zach's bizarre behavior of supporting the Ukraine, I assume that was arranged with the Austrians. He snuffs out this Turkish issue. I'm not used to saying that about Zach, but good job. And Jason, you've taken Romania, but I hate it when I'm Turkey and this happens to me. I'd much rather just be in Bulgaria. A lot of bad things can happen now.
It's true, although if you've attacked Russia, what choice do you have but to move to Romania, really? Because you don't want the Russians to get it.
Right.
So you sort of have to move there, but this is a thing that can happen. A thing that doesn't happen very often is an Austrian army in Albania in the fall of 1901. That does not happen very often.
Yeah, one would struggle to know what that army is supposed to do, but it is there.
Presumably backfill into Greece,
right?
If that fleet leaves, but the question is, leaves to do what?
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting questions here in the East.
Yeah, it's interesting, for sure.
And interesting questions in the West, in that I believe we've got a zero build England,
zero build France, right?
One. Oh yeah, zero build France. Yeah.
Zero build France, zero build England.
Browno's loving this.
Yeah, that's definitely advantage Germany.
But it's very bizarre, right? It's a three-way bounce. You would think if two of them were coordinating, they would have known what was happening. Maybe Germany did know and didn't care.
Yeah, Germany may actually be in friendship with the French. I don't know. We'll see.
Feels like somebody was lying to someone, but were they all lying to each other?
I don't know if I've ever seen a zero build England and France. I mean, that's impressive, Mohammed and Christian. I mean, I tip my hat to you.
Ed, I say this so often, it should stop surprising me, but I've been covering this game, doing broadcasts, let's say 5+ games, probably 6 or 7 games a month at a minimum since April of 2020. And almost once a month I say, I've never seen that before. And I usually say it a couple times. We've already said it 2 or 3 times tonight. I just love this game. I love how there's almost infinite combinations, and every single position causes so many other ripple effects and then you throw in the player combinations. That's why this game has been around as long as it has, and why we're here covering it, and why it's so entertaining to watch. I will just say, as I often do, thank you, players, for giving us yet another fun situation to talk about on air.
If Germany had gotten Sweden, it'd be a zero build Russia.
That's actually true. Let me riff off of that briefly, Brian. I play a lot of board games. Diplomacy is not the only board game I play. I play a lot of board games. And a lot of board games, you can figure out how to play them. And then you can sort of understand how everybody's playing. And at some point, you stop playing it because you've pretty much played out all the strategies for that particular board game. There's no way to do that for diplomacy. I've been playing it for decades and decades. And it's, as you say, it still surprises you. It's why the diplomacy has a diplomacy broadcast network. And lots of other board games that are perfectly fine board games do not.
Yeah. Because
of this kind of entertainment value for just seeing people do different things with different personalities and different strategies. So awesome. Let's see. Turkish fleet build is interesting. Don't you all think so? I guess maybe if you're going to continue to fight Russia, you might want to support yourself to the Black Sea.
Well, I mean, I think Turkey's counting on getting Bulgaria back and ceding Romania to the Austrians. We'll see what happens for Jason here.
Yeah, the 2 Italian fleets means, and no build in Trieste means that there's probably now not going to be any further miscommunication in the AI relationship, at least for Spring of 02.
Right.
And that makes sense.
You know what's fascinating to me are the English and the French builds. Wait,
It is still fascinating.
all right,
Spring night.
1902. What have you got? What have you got in store for us, Ed Sullivan?
All right. Well, it looks like it's a anti-French gang up here. Muhammad and Christian, as their religions back in the old days, are at war, and so Yorkshire's in Belgium, Germany's in Burgundy, Marseille's in Gascony. I mean, so this is where it's going to go. On the other hand, very interesting uh, move by Germany, gets Sweden. I guess that might be a deal, and moves up to Kiel. I may have moved to Baltic, like who knows. And in the east, I was sort of correct. Jason's got to get back into Bulgaria and hope that Austria fights Russia here, which might actually happen. I don't think Italian moves into Ionian are necessarily anti-Turkish yet, but we'll find out.
Yeah, in fact, Italy may literally just be going west at this point, and Ionian's just a defensive move. It's entirely possible.
That would be my guess, but we'll see.
I think the German move to Denmark means that Germany and Russia are allied, and here we go, supporting themselves, support into the North Sea. So leaving Sweden, that is interesting.
I guess
because they know they're gonna take Belgium anyway.
They got Belgium. Take the North Sea. I'd make that deal if I was Germany. That's a good deal for Rauno, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Meanwhile, I mean, Wardy is doing what Doug Moore says, you should do as Italy sometimes, is fully commit yourself west if you trust Austria. We've seen Cody as France with him and Morgante in that last game get along. So, Chris can be a good ally. And the big news flash here is while Zach may have things sort of covered in the north, now the Turks are in the Black Sea. Italy is not a threat. Be very curious to see what's going to happen now between Italy, Austria, Turkey. And as a guy who manages more than my fair share of three-way alliances, this is the trickiest of them all.
Yes, you do manage more than anybody's fair share of three-way. I'm not sure what Gascony hold. I'm not sure what Wardy was doing there. Maybe just didn't have time to get to an order.
I thought it was supporting Piedmont into Marseille.
It should have been supporting Piedmont to Marseille, so that must be a flub or something there.
Right.
Christian builds that fleet.
That's a bold build. That's
we talked about this before when our other France was being attacked and they built the fleet, try to make themselves sort of more viable than just playing defense. We'll see.
Well, this is Christian saying to England, what I recommended, you will not profit from attacking me. You know who will profit? It's my good friend in Italy.
The fleet keel makes perfect sense because you got to do this. You got to kill that English fleet in Helgoland Bight. Wow, that's really a nice convoy into Yorkshire while taking the English out of Helgoland Bight. That's what you get when you've had good coordination with the Russians in Norway. And that's basically Christian's thrown in as he's just trying to go take Liverpool, right? That was his thinking.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, he cuts English Channel too, so I mean, I think.
Oh wait, no, well, I'm burying the lead here, and so are you, Ed. Silesia and Tyrolia. That's the lead. That's the lead story.
And Munich is gone.
That is the lead story right there.
Although, okay, yes, but Russia and Germany have shown an awful lot of cooperation. I'm not. Maybe this is a Zach stab of Germany, but
maybe not though. You're right, because you've still got Austria supporting the Turks to Sev.
Who knows what's going on?
So maybe I'm misreading that. Maybe that's just I don't know where else to go. I'm going to go to Tyrolia.
I think that is the case for Vienna. What's more surprising to me is Zach's decision.
Wait a minute. I know what Warsaw Silesia is. He was expecting Austria to go to Silesia and try to go around. That's what this was. He was expecting to bounce the Austrians in Silesia from Galicia. That's what happened. I think that's what he was doing.
But to me, that was a gutsy call. My temptation would have been to protect Ukraine there. So I like that read. Obviously, not one I would have made though.
If I were Austria, I might very well have moved to Silesia here, not thinking the Russians were going to block me, so that I could get Vienna into play by putting it in Galicia.
Both cups are poisoned. It's very much a Princess Bride situation.
Don't overlook Khan to Aegean.
That's a good point. Good point. That's a deal, right?
It has to be a deal because with Warsaw going to Silesia, Sev was guaranteed with Austrian support, right? With the
Turkish.
Yeah, with cutting. No. If all Galicia had to do is cut Ukraine.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that deal.
And you've got Tyrolia to Venice. Well, the Italians are sniffing this out and coming back. Look, they didn't like Tyrolia. They knew what was happening. So they convoyed back to Tuscany and so forth.
And they're going to have the builds now to deal with that.
Italy will.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still going to have some stuff to deal with. I mean, it's no joke to have an Austrian fleet in the Ionian, even if you're building, and you're building one.
Yeah, Tunis is gone. I mean, can those fleets get back there fast enough? Hard to say.
There's still going to be some interesting guesses here by Warden. Well, I mean, lots of things could happen here, but I know one thing that's not going to happen is I don't think Muhammad's coming back from this.
Yeah, no. He's lost Edinburgh. He's lost Liverpool. He's left in London. I just want to make a comment on Cody, who I've never heard of before, but he's shown himself not to be a green player. I think he was, played a really good game in the game we watched earlier. Now we're watching this. This is a person who knows how to take advantage of his opportunities.
Yeah, the person who's got to be hating this turn is Christopher Ward. Like, he was looking so good, and this is just gonna really hurt.
Yeah. Interesting build in Budapest and not Trieste.
Interesting build in Berlin.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is what happens once your carcass is almost eaten away in England. Now you got to figure out what the three powers are going to, or the two powers in this case, are going to do. Christians involved, but are Germany and Russia are going to stick together here? The army of Berlin makes you wonder. Now, other things could happen here for sure. This could be, Berlin to Munich, Munich to Tyrol. There's all sorts of things that could be happening here, but that's an interesting build to me.
I tend to think it's a feint. I think he will go anti-France here. That's where his most logical growth is. And if he built that army in Kiel, it would raise suspicion. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him in Burgundy, Munich to Burgundy.
It's certainly a thought, yes.
Or Silesia with Berlin. That could happen too. All right, as we look at these moves, Germany takes London. That's got to be the end for England.
I think he's almost throwing himself here.
With
the bridge.
The London Bridge is not fallen down and moved to Arizona. All right. So let's see here. Still have AT cooperation. Austrians now in Tunis. They might be able to hold it. I think they will be able to hold it.
Yeah.
Turkey still doing well, but has literal no growth path unless Austria is flung forward somehow. So we'll see how patient Jason wants to be here. And Cody can't like the Germans crushing now in the center of the board.
You know, Jason's growth path might be to throw in with Zach.
It's true.
Austrians losing Venice is significant here. The Wardy has gotten back in time. I mean, there wasn't any way to defend it when you don't build in Trieste. So,
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I missed that.
So to me, the most interesting move on this board this turn is Berlin to Silesia. What is that telling us?
I think that's trying to corner the Austrians. I mean, it looks to me like that Rano still wants to maintain friendship with the Russians. I mean, you don't go to Silesia with support when you're trying to attack Warsaw. You go to Prussia and Silesia. So I think that's what that is, just sort of containing the Austrian unit, and he's there to help the Russians. That would be my guess.
I think that's right.
Yeah,
I do think that's right. And it's a continued signal to France that I'm done with you for now. You have nothing to fear from me. Although I think France does have things to fear from Germany.
I do too.
I really like it. I do think it's there to help for now, but it's a great place to be if, let's say, hypothetically, you decide you want to take Scandinavia next. Once England's gone, you're just setting yourself up with lots of options by being there.
I actually like the idea. Okay, I was getting ready to say I would like the idea of moving into Burgundy and having your next option be to take those centers. Because if I were Germany, I'd be wanting to keep Zach around as long as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down the AT, get my growth in the chaos that is the Western theater. You know, with remnants of Italians that have various other things they're supposed to be doing, and the French now are, you know, coming in there and screwing around. So that's what I would be doing. He can say that Burgundy is there to keep the Italians from leaking out. There's things he can say.
By the way, fellas, I just want to prop my friend Brandy, who got my Jerry Jeff Walker reference. You guys didn't. You know, you guys aren't cultured. You aren't cultured enough to know these things.
Did you even say that? I wasn't listening to anything you said.
All right, never mind. All right, here we go. Fall 1904. The wrath of Christian. He takes Portugal, but as I suspected, Germany gets into Burgundy. And David, you're right. This is all anti-Austrian, pro-Russian moves. Going into Bohemia. I don't. Oh, because Trieste got cut by Venice, so bounces in Tyrolia. Turkey does not take Sevastopol because Bulgaria does not cut Romania.
Just hold.
So it's a beleaguered. Well, it's not a beleaguered garrison because there were two supports, but it is a interesting situation there. And Zach doesn't get into Sevastopol because Galicia doesn't cut Romania.
No, wait. Armenia with Black Sea support, that was there to bounce the Russians.
Okay.
That's what that was.
Okay, in
Under
case
the theory that Galicia could be hitting Romania. That's what.
Right. Okay. All right.
So I think that's still AT friendship. The interesting thing here is Zach going back and sitting in Scandinavia. Maybe Rana says, I want you to do that. But if I were, I don't know, I'd be wanting to have some activity there to help take the French out with the Russians. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a kind of a static way to play that. But as I say, maybe Rana said to Zach, I'm with you, but you got to put your fleets over there and park them. Because I don't
know. If I'm Zach, I don't do that. I'm like, you go kill France. I'm going to chill out in Scandinavia and not be far flung and be your janissary of the Northwest.
It is 1904, and we'll go ahead and play Who Do You Like. Ed, I'm going to start with you. You get to pick one power to win this. Who do you want to be?
I'd take Turkey on this map.
Dave.
Actually, I think it's hard. I think it's hard to come up with an alternative argument there, except maybe Germany if things somehow go the right way here for him. But I do think Jason has the best chance. Yes.
Jason would definitely move his position up with a good solid win here. And then we've got Rano. I don't know what position Rano's in, but I don't think that they are ranked high enough for the event win if they do manage to win this.
Although, big deal, you're trying to win the game in front of you. And he does have 8 centers. I just don't know, with the French building another fleet and the Russians not helping. I mean, that just slows things down some. I mean, we'll see. He could definitely top the board. I would still rather play the Turkish position, I think. We'll see.
Yeah, I like Germany's chances, but I do agree that Turkey's probably got the easier path. But I think Turkey's going to need some make some diplomatic choices, and I feel like the diplomatic situation for Germany is a little bit better.
I think that's right. I mean, I just sort of insta called Turkey there because Austria has enemies in Italy and Russia. But to do well as Turkey here, I think you have to be super patient. I think Jason can be super patient, but that's what it's going to have to take. He's showing it though.
Yeah, that is some serious patience. All right, so Christian has said to Germany, "I am your friend." I mean, that's kind of what the fleet build meant anyway. But support to Marseille. Germans now do pull the trigger on Zach and say, well, I've got to go somewhere. And I have decided to maintain friendship with the French, and I'm coming.
Look, I'm not sure this is the wisest German play. This is hard for me to say that because it's someone who can go aggro. But I think Germany needs a strong Austria or a strong Italy to fight Austria, and to snag Marseille. I don't know if that's going to be in Germany's long-term interest.
Well, the other argument is that if you go after Russia, are you enabling the AT alliance? All of this is subject, of course, to negotiation, and perhaps he knows something we don't know about how that's alliance structure going in the West. But to me, in the East, but there would be very little downside to just going to taking Christian's dots here. It's what I was thinking that he might do, but that's not what he's doing. So we'll see. There is an Austrian in Tyrolia with support that the Italians supported in, which caused Bohemia to have to cover Munich. Oh my gosh, he does take Warsaw though. Look,
he takes Warsaw. He takes Marseille. Made a friend with Christian.
Convoys to Norway.
Look, this is all very good German play. I'm not sure I would have done it. I think I would have continued to attack France as opposed to Italy, but it's working out. So who am I to judge, as my Pope says?
Jason not defending Tunis here, but instead takes a shot at Romania. So this was Jason's attempt at a stab, letting Wardy take Tunis and then taking a shot at Romania. Interesting.
And I mean,
not sure why that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Because they didn't order it correctly. They didn't order it correctly, I think. Yeah, they supported Romania instead of convoying. That is a mistake that is easy to make on Backstabber. I have done it before myself. I know Jason's kicking himself there.
Well, the funny thing is, I think they could have taken Sev, right? So this is bad for a couple of reasons for Jason.
Good turn for the German.
You think? Yeah, that's really good.
That mistake.
I would like to change my vote.
Yeah, I vote for Germany. I'm sorry, Germany. You're going to solo.
It's not going to solo, I don't think. That is a nice set of moves. I mean, Prussia slipping into Warsaw I was not expecting to see that. I mean, he supported the Russians to Galicia and then slipped into Warsaw behind him. That's just good stuff.
So if I know my man Christian Brown, he's demanding Marseille right now. So that's going to have to go to Germany. That's going to have to go to France. Germany can't defend it anyways. But Germany's got a lot of pink dots. That's not looking good for Zach.
This game might be over soon, honestly.
I probably draw. I don't know how anyone can beat Germany.
It doesn't. All right, Turkey's made up with his Austrian
I'm
friends.
sorry. I'm sorry.
They are They are now BFFs for life. Wardy has really clawed his way back here, but he has fought off the AT attack only to now be dealing with a French attack. So he finally takes Tunis back. But John Jameson and all those people out there in the world are saying, "Yay, convoy to North Africa! That's what we were waiting to see."
I mean, I know that Christian didn't know what the Italian fleets were going to do, but I would have rather seen the army in Marseille and the fleet in Lyon.
Yeah,
I can quibble. That's probably not the best thing.
Hey, Ramoveski, what are you doing in the North Atlantic?
Mm-hmm. That swapping Marseille for Liverpool?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a probing move there. And he picks up St. Pete, and he's going to pick up Sweden. Does Zach just disband? Who's disbanding Skagerrak?
Zach just disbanded instead of retreating to Sweden, and that doesn't. Well, I guess he's going to try. He was going to think about trying to rebuild it, but I'm not sure how that's going to turn out.
Zach, maybe he's just like, I'm done.
Because he could have lived in Sweden.
We could have.
I mean, there was no way to take it out.
Would have worked.
No way to take it out. Now he's going to lose it. Wow. Yeah, that might just be Zach throwing up his hands and saying, "I've had it."
Yeah. So Sweden, St. Pete. Oh man, it's going to be another good one for Germany. Up to 13.
So it looks like we got Rano in chat. Original plan was to swap Marseille for Paris. After a move to North Atlantic, France was not as happy about that.
I can sort of understand that.
Yeah.
Still, though, Rano, what a great game so far.
Yeah, he played really well. Really well.
Okay, so now we have.
Oh, he's going to be at 14. He's going to have Paris.
Now we've got a fight.
Paris, Brest, maybe. There's a lot going on.
This is a push. This is a push by Rano. Good for him. And Christian mainly held there. I guess he was waiting to see what was going to happen. He didn't want to move against the Italians yet till he saw what was going to happen, and now he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, those fleets aren't really helping you now, Christian.
So I mean, this is this is awesome. I still don't see a solo here.
13, 14, 15. I don't think it's more than 15.
Although I would be surprised if the game doesn't draw soon. And unless Rano really thinks he's got a shot. Maybe he thinks that, and if he does, then he should push it.
Should always push it until you can't.
Well, if you think you got a shot, I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there goes Paris. Brest goes in the fall. Look at the kindness. We're letting Zach live, and in exchange for Ukraine now. Austria moves against Turkey. Oh my God, Austria!
Cody doesn't care that Rano's at 12. He doesn't give a flip.
Vienna. Yeah,
what?
like this is Karthik Konath like behavior by Austria.
Did something happen that I didn't see? Is this a stab? Like, is he going for dots? Like, hey, I'm going to try and get mine before time is out, or is this? I'm upset.
It must be because all Turkey did was move away from Austria.
Yeah,
that'll teach you, Jason.
Well, and for good reason, because the Italians were coming.
Yeah.
Wow.
This
is how a solo happens.
This is sort of crazy, but hilarious all at the same time. So yeah, we're in Ukraine.
I don't think there's any way to analyze this. We're just going to have to move forward and see
go for it.
It turns around.
We'll go for it. Italians are helping this. So that's really happening now.
Wow. And the French have just left Brest.
Yeah.
So this is somehow some sort of. I don't know exactly what happened here, but clearly everybody except Jason is fine, and maybe even Jason is at this point, is fine with Germany just getting stuff.
Somebody vetoed a draw or something. You know, this is the Eddie Brisson kind of solo. It can't be conceded like it can be at DixieCon.
Okay, 18, yeah.
Wow.
Good job, man.
Browno. I mean, I don't know how it happened. I can't explain what I just saw, but it just happened. And this might be the first solo, definitely one or two for the whole season. Really, really impressive. I would love to understand better about what happened those past couple of turns.
Yeah, I said there was no solo there. What I meant was there was no forced solo.
Yeah.
There's always the diplomatic solo, which of course nothing wrong with that. That's the game is called
It could have been stopped.
diplomacy. Of course, it could have been stopped. So this was a diplomatic solo, and that's perfectly fine. Way to go.
Well, that means at the end of round 7, Jason Bennett is still on top, or has moved to top. 26 points to Tim Crosby's 24, to Christopher Ward's 23. Zach Moore did move up to 16. So, man, that's wild.
Now, it should be pointed out to those who are learning the game, scoring systems matter. And throwing a solo in certain scoring systems would have vaulted Rhino up to number 1 in an uncatchable type way in this format, except for another solo. Not the way this scoring system works.
But one board getting into 8th,
True.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously still a great result, but
yeah. Well, and depending on how you want to, it's could be tied for 7th. So, yeah. Awesome. Well, congratulations, and let's see our next game.
We got him back. He's
final
back.
game. Final game of the Tour of Britain. Winner of this, or the points for this, will determine the winner of the league. Rano's back. Now in contention. Do that twice, and you're up to 24. So. England, Christopher Ward in 3rd place. Mohammed in 27th, so probably not going to win. It could win the board, but probably not the league. Cody Green in 23rd, same thing. Jelty in 14. Tim Crosby, another player to keep an eye on, got a shot at 2nd. Tim will need to gain 2 points over Jason, who's
not playing. Oh yeah, that's the headline.
And Christian Brown in 6th.
I
So
have to do
Christopher
a quick
Ward and Tim Crosby are the ones to keep an eye on for me.
I have to do a quick shout out to my buddy Tommy Luckadoo, who is an honorary consul for the nation of Estonia. I was telling him the other day that we have an Estonian player playing in our diplomacy league. Now I get to tell him we have an Estonian player who had a solo. So I call out to my friend Tommy and to the country of Estonia. Way to go.
Love Estonia.
All right. Well, let's get to our game. Here we go. Go ahead and swap places. Ed, you'll take the lead this time.
As it should be.
Here we go.
All right. Well, we've got what I call my favorite English opening. We've got the modified hood opening by France, which is the new thing to do. Russia made a deal with the Austrians to do the Southern Hedgehog so they could go north, which was probably good in light of that English opening. Christian Brown, always go to Black Sea in the spring. That's not good for Christian Brown. That's great for Timothy Crosby, who only needs 2 points. That's a good place to be, is Russia and Venice to Tyrolia, which I've come to appreciate in the past year or so as being powerful.
My only dissenting opinion from that otherwise good majority opinion is that there's almost nothing in diplomacy where the word always should be in there, except Khan should always go to Bulgaria. I do not believe that Turkey should always go to the Black Sea. There's nothing wrong with this opening at all in the right diplomatic situation. Says me.
It is risky though, and I would want to know who I was playing with and what their motives were. With I need 2 points to win. There could be hey, I don't need to top this board. I just need enough points argument. That's what I'd be saying if I were Tim. But I would, as Christian, would not be willing to make a deal that put that risked Black Sea in this case, because I would imagine Tim's going to be swinging for the fences to try and win this one.
Look, he goes to the Black Sea, but he opened north. Black Sea, Schmack Sea, who cares? He opened north. Let's see.
We'll see. We'll see. All right.
All right, David.
Well, nothing surprising in the East until you get to Tyrolia to Vienna, and then you go, oh, okay then. So Rauno had that great game just now, and now has lost Vienna, which means they're still up one. Vienna can't, there's still a lot of play left, but it's always great when you're Turkey, for example, to see an AI war. The question is going to be, can he, do something about that Russian in the Black Sea? A reason that you do this opening for France is so you can have a shot at doing this, which is supporting yourself to Belgium. And you got Spain you could take next year. So that's a great start for the French. The Russians have parlayed that northern move into allowing themselves to build in St. Pete by moving the army to Finland. That's what you do there. And the fact that the Germans didn't block Sweden is obviously a great sign for Tim. And perhaps he's got a friend against the English, who have made as anti-Russian an opening as you can make with the convoy to Norway.
Yeah, this is good news for Christian. He needs some good news, but that was not a diplomatic move to the black. Otherwise, you wouldn't see the self-bounce in Constantinople. But with this AI, it's got to be a stab happening. That's great news if I'm Turkey right now.
Trieste to Venice was an interesting move. He actually thought he might snake Venice there.
That has all the smell to me of let's bounce. And Italy heard that.
Oh,
said,
right.
I'm going to go to Vienna.
Yeah, you're right. So that he knew what Trieste was doing. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I don't know that anything's totally shocking on the build front. Do you guys think? I don't think so.
I would have built in Khan.
He's got a friend. He's an ally. Russia's his ally.
How come Kristen doesn't ever trust me like this?
Have you ever given him a reason?
Well, no, but he
Maybe.
should.
Okay.
All right. As we move into the spring, we've got. I always go to the West first. Norwegian to Barents, while losing Norway. This is an odd set of moves, right? Russia goes to Skagerrak and Sweden up there. That'll be fun for a bit. It looks like Germany thought that North would convoy to Belgium, which, by the way, wouldn't have worked unless Munich cut Burgundy, which it didn't. I don't really understand the English moves. Like, are we making friends with Russia or not? Are we attacking? We're not attacking. Now Germany's mad. Okay. The West, TBD, as they say. Meanwhile, yes, the good news is for Austria is that he takes back Vienna. The bad news is we now have armies in Bohemia, Tyrolia, and Venice, and a fleet in the Ionian. Turkey's attacking Austria with. It doesn't even look like Russia knew that. He just, I think, remains a support holding Bulgaria, and Bulgaria moved to Serbia.
I'm just going to summarize this term by saying, good for Tim Crosby. That's what I'm going to say.
When all your enemies move away from you, You're having a good round.
Oh, but he sort of guesses wrong or something. Is not going to end up taking Norway. No, I'm sorry.
He keeps it.
No, yeah, England keeps Norway is what I mean. The
No, Russia
Russians,
gets it from
No, they don't.
Skagerrak.
no, that's a bounce with the English. See, the
Yeah.
English went North Sea to Norway with support.
Oh,
Tim had to guess on whether to cover St. Pete here, and he guesses essentially wrong.
all right. But
But he takes Budapest, so who cares?
yeah, he takes
And look at
Budapest.
Black Sea going into port in Constanta, which is a port city in Romania. For those not looking at a map,
I
That
didn't know
that
that.
is where he's going into the Romanian port of Constanta. And see, it's all fine. There's an RT alliance. I don't know what you were ever worried about.
Been there since spring 1901, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna try and blow up that fleet too. That'll happen.
Good.
All right.
Western Med. There's been a Western
Now
Med
my man
incursion.
Christian builds that fleet.
Well, he has to have another fleet, and that's the only place he can build it.
That's right. That's right. Plausible deniability, key to diplomacy.
But anyway, there's been a Mediterranean incursion.
Yeah, I don't like this move by France. I don't like France and Italy fighting this early. But
When you don't have the West figured out, you're totally right, Ed, and he does not.
all right, so in the spring, now I think Russia. I mean, we got a big old arrow there from Skagerrak to Norway. I'm going to say Skagerrak gets into Norway under this map. That's the big news. Meanwhile, there must be FG cooperation here with Germany kind of moving away from Ruhr and the army's going down. So there's going to be a French-Italian. Tunis is a guess now in the fall because of I can't do it. They can keep Tunis at least for 1 year. Christian, what are you doing?
And Car to Armenia just does not make any sense.
You had to go to black, push your position up into Bulgaria, then take the black. It's going to go. Look, Christian, you could have done it. It required more patience than you've demonstrated, but it could have been done. There was a tactical way to do this. Meanwhile, Russia now is in Vienna. It's like an RT kind of with distrust in.
I don't know if that's even distrust. I mean, I think they were moving the army to Romania so that it could move forward in the attack. I don't think Tim would throw away his deal with Turkey when he's still fighting the Italians. I just don't think he would do that.
Then why doesn't Ankara go to Khan?
I'm saying Christian has made a mistake here, but I don't think Tim was moving against Turkey here.
Michaela speculates Sev Khan swap. A little unusual, but
okay. I think maybe Christian just thought he was being stabbed and he wasn't, or something there. So he comes back. They've worked.
I would have liked to see him move to black personally from Armenia.
You have an obsession with the Black Sea.
I do. I think it's the tile of the East.
It's the North Sea of the East.
It is. All right. Meanwhile, I have no idea. I can't really read the map, but it looks like Turkey may or may not. No, it looks like they bounced in the Ionian under this.
Correct.
map.
That's the best. That's what the red outline means around those areas.
All right. Maybe I'm not the best commentator for these things, but Turkey does get into Trieste. Awesome. Let's see here. FG is off. We're back at war now. I think France realized the futility of all this and wants Italy to fight Turkey. So that was a good recognition by Mohammed there. And Holland, though, if I'm not mistaken, England gets Holland and Germany did not get Belgium.
That is correct. And Germany does get North Sea.
When was the last time we saw an early RT alliance that actually made progress early? It's been a while since we've seen that on League Night. We're seeing it here.
Well, typically the rest of the board recognizes the RT and adjusts to stop it. And I think the rest of the board was just as confused as all of us about what was going on.
And this is a pet peeve of mine. This business about we got to stop the RT, got to stop the RT. In today's meta, RT is a weakling. It's a 98-pound weakling. And the real alliance to stop is the AI. And so the business about the RT this and RT that, man, that hasn't been a strong alliance in the diplomacy hobby in 15 years.
Okay, so it is a strong alliance when there's AI friction, and when Tyrolean moves to Vienna in fall 1901, it's going to really help an RT. David, I think I've spoken the truth.
That's true, but in today's meta, that's usually not the way it turns out. You end up with either a wintergreen, or you end up with IR, or you end up with a Kraken IT, and we've already seen one of those tonight. That's what has been happening in the meta. So that's why I don't believe that Italy is always making a mistake by attacking Austria. It just diplomatically depends. I mean, we've seen way more strong wintergreens, IR alliances in the last 12 months than we've seen RTs by a long shot.
I think the other side of that is the EF, I think, is a faster alliance than the RT. And so if you're facing an an EF, I struggle to choose the RT. I mean, you're going to pick who you have to pick if you don't have a choice, but I don't think it can keep pace. In this case, in this game, it can do fine because we don't have that strong EF.
All I'm saying is when you say, oh, there's an RT, we got to hurry and do something about it. To me, it's like, as opposed to what alliance that we have to do something about? They all can be strong.
Completely agree that the fear that the alliance once had is not true in the modern meta and has not been. You say 15 years. I would guess even longer than that. I started playing in the late 90s, and even in the late 90s, it was not as strong as it was made out to be in the 1970s postal hobby stuff that you read online.
That alliance is called the Juggernaut, and I'm like, when is the last time you saw that alliance actually act as a Juggernaut? A long time ago.
We still call it out when we see it as successful, as notable, and I think that's saying something.
Yep.
I think Germany getting into North Sea is also really big in this particular game.
I'm loving Tim's position.
Yes, I agree with that entirely. Not just because he's ahead, which he is, but just his position and his diplomatic position is superior by far.
He only needs 2 points to win. He doesn't need to go like crazy expansionist Russia here. If he kind of plays like Katie Gray did in the Summer Classic, he can pull out the points he needs.
Yeah.
So Tim's got pretty solid position here. No obvious opponents. I think unless something really goes wrong, he's probably got. Christopher Ward is not going to win this one, so he's probably got the league locked up. Do you start lobbying for a draw in 1904 if you're Tim?
Well, I mean, look, he's in a rival. He's fighting. His two rivals are Ward in England and Christian Brown, and the only one who can really do anything right now is Christian. And if Christian's playing to win the tournament, he's going to have to figure out a way. But Tim looks really unstoppable to me. Those two armies are a big message to Christian. You ain't going to get growth off me.
Yeah. Well, let me say one thing, again, for those that may be watching this. Just because we're talking about who's going to win the tournament and jockeying for that, Muhammad doesn't care about that. Cody Green doesn't care about that. Ron Ovesky probably doesn't care about that. Jelty doesn't care about that. They're playing this game for fun. They knew they didn't have a chance of winning. So they may just be trying to play the game in front of them and not really care about the tournament scenario. In fact, they probably are. That is probably exactly what they're doing.
And I would say in most cases, most players should be doing that. Like, you need to be mindful of where you are in the league because that may influence somebody else's behavior. But I'm of the philosophy you should always try and do the best that you can on the board that you're on at the time. That's the most fun for me, and I think for most other players.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's just focusing in on this board. I know it's early, but is there anybody else that's got a shot at topping this board? Or has Tim already locked it up in 1903?
Mohammed, I mean, France has a lot of growth here.
If France pushes on Italy significantly enough for Turkey to get a major benefit out of it, and then Turkey stabs Tim at the right time, then Turkey would have has a shot. I just don't see that happening here. I just think Tim is going to end up winning this thing.
By the way, I do agree with what David and Brian were saying. I just think Tim would love it if Mohammed was playing this game for fun and to win, because Mohammed would have to attack people that he wouldn't want to grow big.
Yeah.
Which is what he's doing.
Yeah, that's true. Well, as I said earlier, it's a lot of times the French and the Russians their destinies are intertwined, at least into the end game. Certainly in the mid game, they can be intertwined.
And I don't think there's going to be a Turkish stab. The way to have done it would have been Smyrna to Aegean, then shift to Black and Khan, but it didn't happen. As we look here, Russia's just sort of getting contiguous units that make it very difficult for his territory to be impinged upon, and he's not really trying to grow much more from here for obvious reasons.
I will say Mohammed's doing some good moves here in terms of going there to help the Italians, not to take them out. He's moving out of Tunis, for example. He knows that he's down there to stop the Turkish advance in the Mediterranean. That's what he's there to do. So I like that.
Yeah.
You can always take that Italian stuff later.
Yep.
However, I agree that just keep marching forward here, particularly if Germany's just going to be with Russia here. This game, and there's not going to be a stab by the Turks. This is just Tim's game.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really here. I mean, except Denmark takes the North Sea with 4 arrows, so they must really want it.
That is an astute view.
I think
all right, that makes perfect sense. That makes
There
perfect
it is. So looks like after that, Tim Crosby does pull off the win, and if my math is right, which is always questionable, probably the tournament win as well. And yes, we do see Tim Crosby overtaking Jason Bennett, moving into first place. Scored 28. Jason, well played, 26. Definitely made it competitive. And Christopher Ward at 23, also making it interesting for us. So,
can I say one thing about Tim?
Mhm.
What we saw is why Tim won the Tour of Britain here. I've watched his games, the virtual games this year, and he's been very astute at rallying new players, whereas sometimes in the league play, you and I'm guilty of this probably more than most people, is finding old reliable people that I know will work with me. But this guy went the opposite route. He found the new people. We saw it here. Tessa, I could give you a list of like 5 or 6 games where he did this and tried to help his allies grow. And he ended up doing well in all those games. So props to him, as David Hood would say, for being the best diplomat.
Yep.
So David, how did Tim do it? Like this, I will say about Tim, impressive win here in the Tour of Britain, but we've also seen Tim play extremely well, second place in the Virtual Diplomacy League. What have you seen from Tim this season? He did not have that kind of success in previous seasons. What's the difference that you've seen this year?
Tim has gotten better. I think I first met him in 2015 when he came to DixieCon and actually did pretty well face-to-face at that tournament. but had some learning to do. And I think he has, as we all would like to do if we play something over and over again, he has learned and gotten better in a way that I don't think everyone would have predicted. Jason Massenbaum's another great example of this. Somebody who started off playing with a certain skill level and has leveled up year after year after year. Tim has done that as well. Learning to play with multi dimensions, as Ed was just saying, learning how to truly take over a board diplomatically, which is so much more important than the tactics. We all can learn tactics, some of us, not as well as others. I'm looking at you, Riaz Varani. I'm never going to be the tactician you are. But the real key to the game is to go in there and take it over diplomatically. Tim has a great personality in person. I think Ed got to meet him last weekend as well. And that personality, which is a winning personality, is something that also comes through in virtual. So I think that's what it is.
Definitely seen some impressive play. And also Jason Bennett, definitely the standout rookie in the VDL season this year. And then also showing props in this league as well. So really good to see kind of almost a budding rivalry a little bit between Tim and Jason this season. And that's always been fun. We've had a couple of those back and forth between a couple of players every season in VDL. And we didn't see that early on, and it's nice to kind of get that storyline here late in the season.
And they got to meet each other last weekend for the first time, I think, as well, face to face.
They played their board with me. They were England and France. So, yeah, great.
How'd you do, Ed?
In that
I'm
game,
sorry.
in that game, they both got eliminated.
No, it's too soon. It's way too soon.
It's all right.
Well,
So I'm past it. I'm past it. I shall soldier on.
I know that you shall.
well, we've got a video from the World Diplomacy Championship that Ed Sullivan did with Tim Crosby. So let's.
Perfect time. I need a break. I'll be
see
back
that now. All right.
We have first time, long time listener, first time caller.
That's about it.
Fencer Tim Crosby, first time on the back channel. My man,
It is.
how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
All right,
I'm doing okay. I've got complaints, but I can do it okay.
I've got a lot of aches and pains,
I've got like some things. I've got scars.
but I'm okay. It's all right. I shall carry on. I shall carry forward. I shall soldier on. Look, first face-to-face tournament or no?
Second, I went to DixieCon back in 2015 for my first tournament.
All right, so it's been a long time.
I finished 7th,
All right,
so I
And-
was pretty proud of that.
7th in this one.
I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be a lot lower than I should have been,
Okay.
but you know,
Is
I'm gonna
that
own it.
allowed? Can I say that?
What's that?
I was a lot lower than I should have been. Is that a moral
moral
victory scout?
Yeah, when you see the game, you'll see.
But look, you are the Tour of Britain
I am.
champion. You, sir, are a champion. And you came to the World Championship as the latest diplomacy champion and maybe the favorite.
That's true.
Did you feel the pressure of being the favorite coming into this tournament?
I don't know if I was a favorite. But
I can assure you, you were not a favorite.
I was not
Let's not pretend.
I
We
was
do
not a
not
favorite.
pretend.
I felt, if I walk in here, I felt like an imposter, if anything.
All right, but look, since your first DixieCon, you've played a lot of virtual.
virtual.
You've had a lot of recent success.
I have.
What about the virtual scene helped you prepare you for this? Because you had some good games, and then the game you played with me.
I think the virtual gave me confidence that I could stand up with the top players. I may not.
Like me.
Yeah. Exactly like you.
Exactly, yeah.
And it just gave me some confidence that I was like, my name's at the top of some leaderboards, so maybe I get a little more respect than I think I deserve, and I think I get a little more credibility than I normally would have gotten. I don't know, but that's how I feel.
But thank God you got the appearance fee check like I did,
Yeah.
right? Without that, I don't know what we could have done. This is expensive. All right, first time to Vermont.
Actually, yes.
It's beautiful
Yes,
here,
this is
isn't
when
it?
it's cold, but it's nice. I grew up in Western New York, and it kind of looks the same. But yeah, first time in Vermont.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, people drive here very slow.
Yep.
But it's a good thing. All right, look. Encouragement to your other virtual players, to Wardy, to Brad. Can they get here?
They could absolutely get here. Thank
Would
you.
they have a good time?
They would have an excellent time, and they would compete.
They would
definitely
compete.
Yes.
Not as well as you,
Oh, of course not.
but they'd be in the mix.
I'm the king of England now. So, I mean, that goes without saying.
This man did win to again, possibly,
Possibly. I got a
the Virtual
VDL.
Diplomacy League.
I got a VDL final coming up, hopefully, and I should be in BBN as well.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Fencer Tim is now a swordsman.
I've been a swordsman for a long time.
Welcome to the back channel. See you. Bye.
Thank you, Ed Sullivan, for that wonderful back channel interview. Always entertaining, and we will be uploading more of those back channel interviews from the WDC to the DBN YouTube channel in the very near future. And
I don't believe you.
shout out to
Don't
Hal
put up my
Schild.
videos.
Hal got them edited, so we have to post them now. It's not you, it's Hal. We want to show off. So, but no, thank you, Hal, for getting those edited so we can get them uploaded. And again, congratulations to the 2022 Tour of Britain champion, the new Long Live the King, Tim Fencer Tim.
Congratulations.
Tim Grassi. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get back to our virtual diplomacy game league games. I believe where we last left off, we were looking at our second game of the night. It was the game titled Chris Brand, and we left off in spring of 1904. And we'll just go through and do a really quick recap. So in spring of 01, how about I share the screen? That would help. I'm on it today. All right, so just give everybody a quick chance to look at these moves again. We've got John Jameson, Muhammad A., Matthew Tatanchi, Cody Green, Jason Bennett, Tommy Anderson, and Ian Rudnick. 3 builds from Germany in 1901. We've got Italy and let's see, Turkey, I believe, moving in on Austria. And that kind of catches us up to where we are right now. Oh, that's right. We got Matthew Tatanchi making it into the North Atlantic as well. So kind of setting up. Let me see if I can figure out. We need to update the game. I'm gonna hide my screen real quick because I've got an interface issue. I don't want it to accidentally show the wrong thing here. Apologize with this.
While we're doing that, Ed, you got a chance to interview a lot of people at World DipCon last weekend for Back Channel. We've already seen Tim Crosby's. We're going to see a few of your videos on my show next weekend when I release it. What other video do you think folks need to be really looking out for that you did last weekend?
They're all masterpieces in their own way. The most fun thing about it is, as you know, David, they're totally ad-libbed. There is no filter between my mouth and brain, which in my personal life usually comes back to haunt me a bit, and sometimes in my diplomacy life. They're a ton of fun. Yours was great. Zach's was great. So many great ones. I think the funniest was Eddie Bursan.
That's what I think too. That I will be using that one on Deadline, and people need to be looking for that one. Eddie is such a great deadpan comedian anyway. And
I set him up. He didn't know what the interview was. He didn't know. He doesn't. He looks at me very askance. And when I did it, when I tricked him the first time, he rolled with it. His brain was so adept. I was hoping, like, I didn't know how he was going to take it. Like, I didn't know if he was going to, bang me over the head with something. But he ran with it. It was a lot of, and because he had fun with it, like you do, David, it makes it better.
Eddie Berson began playing diplomacy the year I was born. 1966 is when I think is the year he started playing. Might have been 67. But anyway, somewhere in there. And he is still a sharp cookie after all those years, and is truly astounding, really.
He came to me afterwards and he was like, "Please don't put it up." And I'm like, "No, it'll be good. I promise. Everyone needs to see this. It's not bad in any way. You did great."
Eddie Berson, who until recently was the mayor of Concord, California. I mean, I think he's still on the city council.
He's still a politician. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he just ran for what we would call county commissioners in North Carolina. I think it's called County Board of Supervisors or something in California. He came up short, but he's still looking for new things to do. Is Eddie Berson?
Yeah. By the way, Katie, I would have interviewed you had you talked to me during WDC, but I felt the snub. I felt it. It was there, and that's how I got my revenge. No interview for you.
Wow, Katie, I would never have done that to you if I were in Ed's place. I'm just saying. So that's just the way it is.
I feel really bad though. I feel really bad because I recorded a really funny one with Matt Krill. I stabbed Matt in the most brutal way possible, and we really haven't talked for 6 months since then, but we hugged it out on video, and I had a few adult beverages by then and failed to hit the record button, so I didn't get that. I didn't get Morgante's, which was delightful. So a couple of them I can't blame DBN. I can only blame myself.
Yeah, I also blame you for that. But the other thing is, we had such good experiences last weekend that didn't get on video. We've seen a couple of stills of Dan Lester holding up his championship belt, but we didn't actually. I did not take any video of the closing ceremony, so we don't have any video from that. I did take a video of Dan right after he won the championship, which was actually on our DBN coverage of Carnage last weekend. So if you didn't watch the Carnage coverage from last weekend, folks, go watch it now. It was one of our best shows in terms of tournament coverage.
Absolutely agree with that.
It was great, although I gotta say, if there was any solace in not winning, it was, I don't think the belt would have fit me. I think it was a close call. I was looking at it and I thought, we might need one of those airline extenders, but to see Dan put on the belt was great.
I heard that on his way home, going through airport security, there were questions for him. When he explained what it was, all the TSA people were taking pictures of the belt with him instead of giving him a hard time about it, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I was very touched because he's such great. His closing speech, which was not recorded, David, thanks for not getting that.
You're welcome.
Was very touching. You could tell it meant a lot to him, and I was just really impressed with him as a person.
Yep.
Well, I've got good news and bad news. Bad news is I don't know what is wrong, but I cannot get the Chris Brand game to load properly. So I want to apologize to all of those players.
John Jameson was going to get eliminated. Ian was going to win.
The other downside for that is I don't know that our standings are going to be correct at the end of the broadcast as well. So I will make a promise that if we are able to get these results loaded, I'm gonna make another attempt, but we'll try to finish those out. But if I'm not able to, we'll just have to come back to that a different time. Right now, though, we've waited long enough. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our next game, which is game 119, named after Nicolas Sahuguet, two-time world champion. I believe the only world diplomacy champion and a virtual world diplomacy champion, if I am not mistaken. So
Yep.
we've got in Austria, Tim Crosby; England, Christian Brown; France, Brandon Dix; Germany, Evan
Balearis.
Balearis, is that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Italy, we've got Jason Massbaum, 2022 Diplomat of the Year. Russia, we've got Carlos Kamaridis, and Turkey, Rana Veski. Most of these players are quite familiar to those of us who regularly watch this stream. This is going to be a fantastic board. Ed, who do you have your eye on?
Well, Jason Massbaum needs a good score here, so I'm looking at that and the relationship between him and Tim, which I think could be pretty good. And I'm not looking at the moves, but you would be remiss not to always be looking at McAllis.
Look at this perfectly strong RT alliance opening with the.
This is how we do it, right, David? This
That
is how we do
such
it.
a good, quick juggernaut move. That's awesome. You know, the difference, of course, here is that the Austrians did, in fact, bounce the Russians in Galicia instead of going down to Trieste and all that. So that's probably a different scenario than what we just got finished with.
Russia opened south, not north. McAllis would never take advantage of this situation, ever.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the West, man, Christian Brown going all in against France without help. There's no bounce in Burgundy this time. There's no move to Piedmont. None of that. This is going mono and mono. But I think this might be a move for Belgium. We'll see.
Would not surprise me either.
It's a move for Picardy.
Wow. Yeah. I think I mentioned this already once tonight. If you do have to take Norway with the fleet, you're leaving North Sea open. Boing. Evan Balearis in the North Sea.
Couple little things here, though. Yeah, that's good. Good for Evan. But the way to do this, if you're going to be that bold, is to move Kiel to Denmark, Ruhr to Holland.
I agree with that. Because now you've got the one build instead of the two builds.
And kind of bearing the lead here. The Austrians don't have that very important tile of Serbia. But why is that, David?
Okay. Look, all right. We've already said tonight, I've never seen that before in the comment that we make. Let me say this. I have seen a zero build Turkey before, Katie, but what I have seen is Black Sea to Bulgaria with support of Serbia. I have seen that before. That used to be sort of a thing that happened sometimes. I have never seen this happen before. Pretty sure I've never seen this.
Yeah.
So you're saying that support from Black Sea was not wanted?
No, it was wanted.
No, what I'm saying is I've never seen Austria take Bulgaria here in this fashion and the Turks not build. I've never seen that. I've seen it the other way around, where Serbia supports Black Sea to Bulgaria. I've seen that before. But I don't think I've ever seen this before.
Yeah.
So, McCarless, that's awesome. The unwanted support, Tim taking advantage of it, that's just amazing. Rano, man, you had that one good game, and then you have been assassinated twice here in successive games. That is rough.
Yeah. That's not good. I'm just admiring the fact that Austria does not have Serbia, but no one else does either at the end of 1901. Tad unusual.
You know, we didn't actually say that France got 3 builds, but by the way, France got 3 builds.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
Army and Picardy move, Christian, is, I mean, okay, but not
It's
when the
that.
French get 3 builds.
And I hate to keep going back to Germany. Well, first of all, the English fleet build is freaking me out. But you didn't need to support France into Belgium. I would have prioritized my 2 builds over getting France 3. I would have much rather had it 2-2.
Well, okay, yeah, I'm going to go here for a minute because Fleet Liverpool, when there's a German in North Sea, because I guess they're friends, but then the Germans can't be really attacking England because they built an army. So maybe that's right. And it's really an EG and stuff. But by the way, there's a Russian fleet north coast, which I say, yay. I love aggressive moves, as you know, Ed and Brian. So I think it's fun when you can justify doing a fleet north coast like that. I just don't know whether that's correct or not. I don't really know what's happening.
What's going to happen to Denmark? Like, this is all like
Nothing.
hilarious.
It's going to remain neutral
I don't know what's happening.
for the foreseeable future. Denmark and Serbia are both going to remain neutral for the foreseeable future. That's my prediction.
I have no idea
Okay, I'm
what's
wrong.
going on.
Convoy to Edinburgh, that's not something you could do when England builds fleet Liverpool, is it? On the other hand, England actually does, in fact, take Brest and kills the French fleet. This is the weirdest, goofiest game I've ever seen in my life.
The bolder move would have been convoy to London. I don't think English Channel was going to cover there, and you get Edinburgh.
You're complaining that the Germans were able to convoy to Edinburgh, but they could have done a bolder move. That is a stretch.
It's an art. It's an art and a science. Okay.
That is a stretch. I will stick by this. This is a weird game. Now, there's a lot of holding, supporting, not doing anything between Austria and Russia, and we'll see what all that means. But Jason didn't really know what was happening, which is why he convoyed back and moved back like that.
I think this is the right move for Jason, for sure. I think he's got to sort of hope now that there's AR. This is such coordination by AR. This is a takedown, of Turkey. Jason's got to be.
I don't know.
That's my read on it.
Well, they're not going to take anything. Well, they might take something down this turn. No, they're not. Well, they might. Yeah, it's a guess. You're right. You're totally right. It's a guess. And Turkey guessed wrong. Yeah. So Jason takes Trieste, I assume with acquiescence here.
Yeah. Why? Why is there acquiescence?
I don't think I would have done it if I were Tim. Because somebody's about to be the odd man out.
Yeah. Well, it could theoretically be Italy. Well,
that's pretty theoretical.
What is Austria getting out of this? I guess Austria got Khan.
They take Khan. Yeah, they take Khan.
Okay, but they can't
build. And Serbia. They get a bill which they can't build because they're sitting in Vienna and Budapest.
Can't build either.
Well, they're only getting one bill because they lost Trieste.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why you would. There's a lot of holding and supporting going on here if you're really trying to move. I wonder if this is really a wintergreen getting ready to happen. Maybe.
I mean, the position's right for it.
When Austria doesn't build when they should have, that means they're playing one short for those scores.
You don't think Michaelis is capable of luring Italy into some dots here?
I think Michaelis is capable of slow playing, which is why you build in Moscow.
Oh my God.
That is the ultimate slow play move right there.
He is so good. I wish he would play more. I mean, I'm glad he's back tonight.
I agree with all of that. And by the way, Michaelis, we need you in the face-to-face community, at least in the UK.
All right. Meanwhile, he takes Ankara. He plays nice with Austria. Looks like going to the line. Looks like an air. All this has all the air moves. Somebody's going to get impatient here. France doesn't see the air coming. Germany back.
Germany does, though, right?
Germany sees it. Germany does see it. I mean, but if Germany saw it, why isn't Germany moving to Baltic?
I just want to say this is the second enemy convoy to Edinburgh, and we're in spring 1903. I just think that's fun.
That is absolutely hilarious.
I hear Edinburgh is a beautiful city.
All right. Well, Fencer Tim, we'll see how it goes for you, but you've just earned the wrath of Michalis Camaritis.
You mean the Romania thing?
Yeah. It's not
It could-
arranged. There's
It
no
could
way.
be
that-
arranged. You've got Ankara, Russia picking up Ankara.
Well, Austria was already one short, so now I guess they're going to build two here.
I say not arranged. We'll find out. Michalis, I'm sure, will tell us.
Yeah.
All right. Meanwhile, it's England, it was good knowing you. Christian, try again another day.
Wow. You don't often see a 1903 elimination of England. 1904, yes, but 1903, hard to do.
Only
And
when
now
I play.
the Italians are coming for Brandon in France.
Yeah.
They are coming.
Yes, but he can deal with it probably, I would argue.
I think he can, but
I mean, the England's dead, so now FG, if they want, can turn around.
Tim may fence some units here. I kind of like this Austrian position right now. He can stick with it. He can stab. A lot of options on the table.
All right. So both of y'all have more success in this game than I do. So I'm turning to the two of you. This, to me, is a fascinating scenario to analyze. If you are the East, let's start with the assumption first that there is, in fact, an heir, which that's up for debate. But let's assume that there is. Do you, as Austria, decide to go ahead and attack Italy here? Or do you think it's better as Austria to stick with the heir? Or do you think it's better to attack Russia?
First of all, blah, sticking with the air. Blah, 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 as far as I'm concerned. So, to me, the question is whether you're going after the Russians or going after the Italians. I think I would go after the Russians here, just from a geopolitical point of view. The Italians are, yes, they're vulnerable, but they're also doing the Lord's work. They're keeping France contained, which is more important than keeping Germany contained. And Germany just built a fleet, so that's not a, I'm going to just be the center army power to prevent the air from doing whatever. He's going to go up there and start messing with the Russians, which I think that's an opportunity for Tim to mess with the Russians. That's the way I see it anyway. Is it going to be a little bit slow going? It's not going to be fast going. But as opposed to what? A very, very narrow window of opportunity through Munich? Blah, as I said earlier.
It's a tough call. It's definitely not stick with the air because where is Austria growing? Just like David said, they can't even take Munich. I mean, they can theoretically, but not until fall of 04 at best. I think Russia's more vulnerable, but Russia's not going to be easy to crack with the fleet in the black. No easy way to get to Ankara.
So
I don't know what to do.
Not to belabor too much more, but one other question. If you are Italy and Russia, should you talk about wintergreen against Austria?
Maybe, but I don't think Jason probably doesn't think he can do that. And he's probably right.
If I'm Russia, I'm feeling real vulnerable. I'm definitely talking about it.
I just think Italy moves away from the line and France just gets gigantic. Unless France can be convinced to go and attack the Germans and the Russians instead, but somehow. But they're not. They didn't build that way for sure. Maybe they could. I don't know. The French do usually have flexibility here, and they probably do here. They could go to Irish Sea and then take Liverpool, things like that, or North Atlantic and take Liverpool. I don't know. Yes, you would be thinking about it, and then if I'm Jason, well, he does move one guy back to Venice.
No, it's a stab. Smyrna takes
Oh, you're right.
Khan.
So that is what
Takes
happened.
Galicia.
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's logical that this is sort of what happened, but it's going to be really hard for Jason here, right? With all the FG show no signs of slowing down, right? So Jason may have sort of messed up the stalemate line.
What did Romania do? Was it misordered?
I think it held.
It wasn't ordered.
Should have gone to Ukraine.
Yeah,
He probably thought it was going to Ukraine.
Probably thought, yeah, that's what I was going to say, which would have been better at least to take some guesses. Interesting. I mean, this is the problem. Jason's going east to coordinate, I guess, with what he's doing with the Russians, but why is that not just going to blow the French up? Oh, I see. Liverpool to Edinburgh. No, that's probably arranged.
So what we have in the East is really interesting, which is McAllis expected to continue to push on Tim. Jason really wasn't going to be a part of that. I think with all the French pressure, McAllis can't be very happy right now, but I totally get why Jason did what he did. In fact, I think he had to do it. He's covering Tuscany. He's worried about the convoy. He's got a lot of problems, Jason does. So, I mean, he can kind of say, look, dude, I needed to build a fleet. Are you looking at all these French teams going on? I couldn't really help anymore. I think the air may, by necessity, have to be back on right now.
Could be.
So it's time for Who Do You Like? Ed, I'll start with you.
I don't think it looks like it, but I like McAllis because I think there will be FG fighting, and I think he'll be well positioned as the chaos agent that he is.
David?
Well, that is a decent argument, I have to say. If I was looking for an alternative, I know that Evan is currently 2 ahead of Brandon. I'd say Evan's got a shot if he can get. I mean, it is possible for Evan to make some progress in Scandinavia if they do the moves right. They don't quite have their units in the right position to do it, but if they can somehow, and building the Army Berlin doesn't really help that part. I don't know. I'm going to just give a different vote for Evan. Different vote for Evan. But I agree that the argument on McCarless is a good argument. So it does look like the air is back on, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, at least for now, because this is sort of exactly what McAllis needed. He needed, bumping up the line, but of course, I think everything's defensible. Maybe not.
Baltic to Kiel doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's something going on here diplomatically between McCarless and Evan Valeris.
Yeah,
that doesn't really make sense when you think about it.
I think that's right. I wonder if there's no bounce in Liverpool.
No.
Which tells me maybe it was arranged.
Honestly, these moves, the move set here has been a little weird for the last 2 moves.
I think people are like in the room with all these units in the middle of the board. Everyone's trying to figure out, okay, well, we don't want this to happen. So what's my best positioning if I wanted to do something else? And that's how I sort of explain this. And really, McAllis is helped, I think, by this Galicia to Silesia move. Well, nope, they just pressed the AI, except now they tell Jason, you got to give back that extra build. You got to move west. That's what he does. I don't know if Bulgaria is supporting Khan. Is that what's happening? what or Bulgaria supporting anchor to Khan must be what that's the order. I don't know what's.
But it's supported. I don't know.
Oh, it didn't get cut.
There's been some opportunities missed here by France and Germany, I think. Lots of sort of some passive play and some backwards play and things that I'm not sure I understand, to be honest.
Okay. Well, clearly McAllister thought he was getting Constantinople. Like, no way that he would have moved there without thinking that's going to happen. Jason and Tim have really come to an understanding here, because otherwise, that's not great, I think, for Jason. It shows that AI are strong here. I don't know what that signifies elsewise. Anyways, and Germans, I think, got into Silesia.
No, they tried to, but then they got eliminated.
It's a big arrow with a red around it. Okay, I'm learning.
Red means no.
Red is bad. Black is good in this situation. Yeah, this is sort of a stalemate line fight. We could probably just move through the next season unless
Well, I don't know. McAllis. Let's see if it was a stab of Khan.
It definitely frustration building, if nothing else.
Well, David's right.
Yeah, and there's not even anything going on really between F and G or G and R at this point. I mean, those moves by the Russians are not really designed to do anything. This just seems very static to me. I see that Munich has fallen. I see that. But besides that, well, let's see. The Russians are going to get Romania as recompense because the Austrians are getting Munich. I really think we just move forward here and see what happens. There's the fleet that's going to help McCarless finally make progress if he wants to in the German theater.
He does. He built South Coast, right? Otherwise,
that's what I think it means. Yes, yeah. But he's also ahead, so people could decide to call the game here.
So this is the last turn that I have, but it doesn't look like the game was ended. Can anybody that was playing the game confirm? Is this the game end?
I don't know how you can play the game and comment at the same time.
My guess is this is the end of the game.
I'm guessing that's the case as well.
And McCarless took the board top. That's what I was getting ready to say. Was that yes, he built the fleet, but does he really need to do anything because he's already ahead as it is?
Okay, so they're saying no. Game did not end.
Surprise coming. Well, maybe not if we can't get the orders in.
Yeah, let me see if I can figure out what's going on here. Give me a second.
Sorry for the technical problems, folks. Surprisingly, we do this for fun, not as a profession. So
run it through. Send me a sandbox, and I'll put everyone's orders.
We bring this to you with, as in our spare time, and so we, obviously sometimes are going to have some technical snafus. So don't say anything yet, guys, in the chat.
Also a testament to the work that Brandon does. Brandon is off today, and I am doing my best to try and get these in. I think I probably screwed something up. So,
Brian. Young man, it's always someone else's fault. First of all, this is Brandon's fault, and I can come up with many reasons why. One, he's not here. Two, he sabotaged you intentionally because he's jealous of your hair. Three, I'm sorry, I'm still laughing. I'm still laughing at that one. Three, he doesn't want to show his competitors in VDL any love because he's a selfish man. That's his main goal.
I think the main takeaway is that Ed Sullivan laughs at his own jokes. I think that's the main takeaway, and I frankly find that a little pathetic.
Let's get some back channel filler. Come on, throw another back channel on the fire while we're waiting for Brian here. All right, David. Look, time to turn the interviews around. Do you find yourself to be a better lawyer because you were a diplomacy player first.
Yes. I don't think there's any question about that. And we talked about this on the Deadline episode, I think last month, where we had a panel discussion about using diplomacy skills in real life. And one of those persons that was doing it was, I think, Natty Schaefer, who is in fact a lawyer in Utah, and was talking about how he used his skills in his profession. Steve Cooley talked about how he used diplomatic listening skills in his profession as a pastor. And Riaz Virani talked about how he used those diplomatic skills and listening skills as a real estate developer. I think that learning communication, learning how to read people, learning how to make relationships and connections with people is a skill that diplomacy teaches you that is good in life, not just in the game. What do you think, Ed Sullivan?
So I will tell you, it's made me a better listener. I don't think a lot of lawyers are good listeners.
That's true.
And I can't say I was a particularly good one either, because I'm always kill, advocate, And I've so enjoyed doing something that you do, which is in the past year, I've been hired to mediate several cases. People just came to me and asked me to do it. And I found it wonderful. I didn't think I would like doing it. And I used the diplomacy in the negotiations to help move people to where I think they need to be to help resolve their differences. It's fantastic.
Well, and Ben's asking in the chat, how do you learn listening? And we've got a good answer there. It's just like anything else. Any of these skills you learn by practice. And for those watching this stream who have not been playing with us this season, have not been playing VDL, have not been playing Tour of Britain, have not been going to face-to-face tournaments, have not been playing in extended deadline tournaments like Nexus Press League, jump in. The only way to really get better at this game is to practice. It's to play more and play more with different people. If you're watching the stream and you play diplomacy with the same people all the time, that can be fun. But if you really want to, exercise and strengthen your muscles, you need to subject them to some different stimuli. And one way to do that is to play with different people, which I have always found to be the most fun anyway, is to play with different people as much as possible.
So the thing is, like one of the things I do, and you don't have to listen to me or not, but getting people to talk in this game, to me is key. You telling somebody, well, I want Belgium or I want this, a lot of times it's going to turn people off. But if you can listen to them, see what they want, and work within that, that's how you sort of build. Also, just a key human thing. It's very key, which is you can all laugh at me on the stream here, but I've been in this dating game, unfortunately, in my life for the last year and a half or so, and found out that I just ask a bunch of questions and the other person talks for a long time. And then they go, "You're such a great conversationalist." And I'm like, I didn't say anything. I was just like asking questions. Same in diplomacy. They will think you talk a lot more.
In spring 1901, the ratio of, when I go and talk to the other players in a game of diplomacy, the ratio between listening and speaking is somewhere about 3-1. I'll go there and ask questions. Tell me a little about yourself. Tell me about what your plans are. Tell me about this. And I will mostly ask questions. Now, when you get into the mid game, if I'm still around at that point, it probably flips. I've probably spent a lot more time saying things and proposing things and advocating things and making observations than I do listening. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's the way I do it. And a reason to do that is because you establish the connection better when you act like you care about what the other person is saying, because you're asking them questions. And I do care about what they're saying. I'm getting information from them.
I think it's so helpful. As I go back and analyze my WDC, as I got closer to the top, and then I've got Adam Siegel, Chris Brand, Peter McNamara, obviously all great, frankly, better players than I did. I lost my instinct. I tried to control the situation a bit by talking more, as opposed to being myself. And when I go back and do my postmortem, I got away from what had made me successful a bit with all three of those. They souped up the information for me, and were able to each use it in their own way. So listening, do as I say, not as I do, apparently.
To thine own self be true, Ed Sullivan,
Well,
is what I would say.
what did the bard know?
Something.
You knew a lot.
All right, thanks for bearing with us. I think I have good news, and I think I have good news on all of our games. So we're going to go ahead and mix things up again. We're going to go back to VDL 118, Chris Brand, and we're going to look at fall of 1904 finally.
And just when I thought I'd had enough of Chris Brand, you're giving me more Chris Brand.
Wow. Okay. Fall 1904. As I predicted,
Yes.
Gascony goes to Liverpool, which could not have been stopped. Looks like the Austrians lost an army in Serbia, thanks to Ian helping his Italian buddy. And looking good for the Kraken, as David would say. Germany becoming a tad concerned by moving one unit to Silesia. Meanwhile, Russia into Sweden, Norway to St. Pete. I hiccuped.
You know, I was going to say Cody's playing this awfully cagily and slowly, but he kind of has to because he's allied with the French. And he doesn't really want to move heavily into the east, so that's why he's playing so statically. And now he goes to Galicia. That's not so static.
Yeah, he's like, I think I'd like to have...
moves on Russia. Moves on the French here, doesn't he?
He does. Okay, so a couple things. I like this play from Cody. Going back to Master Doug Moore, Germany does best when its units are away from its home centers. Fine. You lose an army in Galicia. It's not in a supply center anyways. You can always rebuild it if it gets dead. Meanwhile, go use it to find a friend. That friend will not be the Russians, I don't think, based on the fact that Germany has taken Sweden back from Russia. And as we sort of move on, it's this Turkish-Italian cooperation really is the story of the game that we see here.
I wonder what that guy in Galicia is going to do. Who is he there to help or hurt?
He's clearly friendly to Austria and Turkey. I don't think they need him, though, which is why he holds.
Oh, my God. I don't know about all that now. If anybody's ever heard me on my diatribes about why you should almost never hold, if you you didn't go to Galicia just to make sure nobody else could be there. I guess maybe you just didn't know what to do.
I would have liked to have seen Munich to Bohemia supported by Galicia if I'm Germany. Meanwhile, Turkey's doing what Turkey does. We're just going to push Italy up to Budapest while, we set now up the perfect stab of my Italian ally incoming just in a second.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, we can do anything we want from here. We can convoy onto the boot. We can take Trieste. The world is our oyster as for Ian. So this is really good for Ian, and we'll see if it continues. But I see no reason under this board it wouldn't.
Well, a question might be, who is Ian going to work with going forward? Maybe France.
Who does he need to work with?
Well, you maybe nobody. Maybe nobody.
So we've got a question from Jasper in chat. I'm going to go ahead and pose this to you, David. Said I would have taken Sweden the other way around.
Well, let's see. Where did he take it from? Norway?
He took it from Norway. No one was covering St. Pete.
The reason that he didn't do it the other way was because he was worried the Russians would retreat to Baltic, right? And then he would be out of position by not even being in Denmark, I think, is what the theory was. The other possibility is that, he didn't actually want to ever threaten Tommy Anderson's St. Pete.
Yeah, well, I think
I
it's
don't know.
both. I think he's worried about the retreat and, let Russia have St. Pete back. That's
I
fine.
mean, for example, if you had gone from Denmark, the Russians might have been tempted to retreat to Baltic, to give yourself more, to give him more options. By not doing it, you sort of say, there's no point you retreating to Baltic, which is probably why we saw Finland.
You know what? I think that army in Galicia may be of some use to Italy now. Call me
Yeah.
crazy.
If Germany decides to do that. Bye-bye, John Jameson.
Bye, John.
Like I've said before, the only player, at least in this game, to whom I have lent my vehicle is John Jameson.
You're a brave
Okay.
man. All right. So Germany helps Italy into Romania. Turkey trying to. I guess Turkey knew he was losing. Ionian started getting worried. I think Turkey should have just taken Serbia here, not worried about. Taking Trieste, not worried about Romania so much.
Mhm.
But fine. And in the West, who's playing England? Mohammed goes to Portugal, but that will be short lived.
Still significant, though. I mean, forcing the French to move back and all that is obviously great for the home country protection.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be totally surprised if Cody was not in London in the fall.
I'm going to go back and say it again. Ian doesn't have anybody to work with here. Unless he can turn around like the Russians. Okay, so it's kind of what he did here. A little bit.
Fair point.
But look at the Italians moving back again to the Western Mid.
Maybe they worked it out. Did they hug it out?
Something changed.
They took it from Serbia. They took Romania from Serbia, right? That's got to be some peace. Maybe Turkey just said, "Let me go kill Russia here."
I don't know. I don't think that's a workout. I think that's just, he assumed Serbia was going to get attacked, so he's going to try to move it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Ian says they hugged it out.
Okay, good.
I think that's what it was.
It was. I thought at the time it was an awesome looking stab, but I thought it was a little premature because Italy was strong enough to come back, which is what they did.
I don't know why Italy necessarily makes that deal. Now Italy can only go west. Maybe they hugged it out for one season. I think this war is still going on.
Virtual fist bump, Jason Bennett. Entertaining. I like that metaphor. But Ed, right decision. Well, let me back that up. We don't know. We weren't in the game. If that's right decision, that's the right question to ask.
Definitely right for Ian. 100%
Right for Ian.
Right for Ian. He was in trouble. Now he's not. Now he can kind of breathe a little bit, see if Jason opens himself up, and go back.
Do you make that choice if you are Jason?
I don't know, man. Jason had a lot of problems. He's got Turkey. He's got France. He's got to figure. I still think Jason might go back and attack, but now if he can work out a deal with France, he's got fleet presence. It's hard to say. I think both of them have an incentive to attack each other right now. But France is key. With those fleets, you can't really fight.
You know who else is key right now is England with 3 fleets and an intact country and not being attacked and now can actually do something with the game. That's really destabilizing to France and Germany to have them behind them like that, as opposed to France and Germany going and killing him while they were still cooperating.
Yeah, North Sea should have gone to London.
So Muhammad playing perhaps kingmaker in the West, and I would argue what Cody does could also impact what happens between Jason and Ian. It's a very balanced board right now. Not necessarily in who's going to win, but in the smaller powers, I think, or perhaps the perceived weaker powers have a lot of diplomatic influence that they would not have, that may not be apparent.
But this is an issue I run into, and hey, this has gone on long enough, but when you're Germany and you're going east like this, as I like to do, you got to get there before the Turks. Otherwise, there's no more going forward.
That happens to me often.
All right.
All right, they're trying to deal with the Germans being out where they are.
Yeah. I think Germany kind of destabilized this a bit. And England has announced that I'm going to guess here that England's going after France. That's what has to be what this is, right?
Sort of, but what's Wales all about? I guess in case English Channel bounced with Mid-Atlantic, you get to move. But why would you want to move in that situation?
I think this is some sort of love showing to Germany. Germany's like, I can't do anything if you're going to dislodge me from the North Sea, or something like that. And so if North Sea moved to London, he'd have it back this time around. I think that's like what was going on in their head.
North Africa is not what I was expecting.
That is bizarre.
Trying to become a sort of a janissary of sorts for the French, maybe?
Who don't seem to care because they didn't move to Western Med.
They didn't move anywhere.
They didn't move to Lyon. I mean, that move makes no sense, Mohammed. Man, Turkey and Italy are still doing well now. You kind of got to like this as Jason, right? Turkey is going around.
And if you're Ian, it's not too bad either because there's nothing but fleets. Like it's a fairly stable alliance position. It would take another power to destabilize.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Like I said, I lose my filter. I like what Ian's done here by bouncing in Sevastopol, right? It's a signal to the Russians. I'm not coming after you. Germany's a threat. Let's go after Germany. But he's not going too far.
The question, though, if you are Ian, is do you have growth potential? Do you want to? Like, are you just trying to play to end this, or do you want to try and top this board? And if you do, the dots are still in the Balkans, right?
I think he's got time, but he's going to have to. He
needs
another army.
He wants there to be some kind of scrum in the West that he can take advantage of. That's not really happening right this minute.
Nothing happens in the East.
Yeah.
And France is improving their position against England. England, Mohammed, you're now in North Africa. Like, you can't go anywhere. This is not great for you. Anyways, we'll see. Yeah, they are setting it up. Perfect. I'm glad you moved it ahead. David?
Yeah, I agree. Greece to Ionian to Greece and Naples to Ionian looks arranged as a way for the Italians to feel better going forward.
Yeah.
Germany going west is interesting, given that the East is still coming. I guess Tommy might not be long for this world, potentially, because he might be able to get cut out here in a minute. If they want to keep playing. They may not want to keep playing, but if they do.
Tommy moving to Sweden, making Germany make some choices at least.
I mean, that's a fall turn, so that's a center.
Oh yeah, it is a fall turn, and we've also got France moving into Belgium. So yeah, there's some movement against Germany here. Does that advantage either France or Russia, or is that going to advantage the IT?
That advantages the IT and therefore possibly the T.
I think Ian is really happy with this.
I mean, it's obvious he's ahead at this point anyway, but he's also ahead positionally Now that's not something that Jason couldn't turn around and do something about potentially.
This is the time, right? This is the time for Turkey. If you think Tommy's moving to Norway, which I think Tommy might do, Turkey tops this board. He's already topping.
He's probably pushing for a vote right now to top the board at 8.
So, Ed, I'm sorry. Are you saying it's the time to move against Russia or a time to move against Italy?
I think he can do. I think he needs one more unit against Italy. Like, I don't think he's going to do anything in the spring. I think the fall it's against Russia, and the spring, spring against Russia. Maybe he does one thing against Italy in the fall. But he doesn't. Oh, he helps Italy, right? He doesn't cut Silesia. But he does move to Sevastopol. What wouldn't have mattered in Warsaw there? Okay, so he's helping.
This puts the Italians into Munich.
Yeah, but he might take Budapest and Warsaw here, right?
North Africa goes to Mid-Atlantic with support of the French, maybe.
Yeah,
because he's there to help France against this English upstart.
Could the deal be that Munich is going to tap Silesia to help Turkey break into Russia?
Yeah. Probably. Or not.
No.
Or it's just a hold.
He cuts it himself from Galicia.
Yeah.
It's worth saying that Tommy, in the fall turn, has retreated to St. Pete, which was not smart. Should have retreated to Livonia so he could build in St. Pete, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to be at 4 units.
Come on, Tommy.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's playing one. Unless I'm missing something, he's playing one short. He should have retreated to Livonia there.
It's just to delay the inevitable loss of Warsaw and let Russia have his Scandinavian empire survive.
Perhaps.
Look, it's over.
There we go.
It is.
Yeah, it had to be called. If it wasn't called, then Ian would be winning big.
Tommy's saying he wanted this game to end. So, yeah.
Well, that's fair.
Congratulations, Ian. And I'll also say congratulations, Jason, even though it was not a top. That was a really, really nice IT to watch.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
He got stabbed. He diplomatically handled it. France
And tactically handled it as well.
Good job.
Both.
Proud of Jason.
Awesome. All right. Well, now moving back to the game that we were on earlier that was not actually over. Spring 1907. We had, just make sure we get this to the right place. So, yeah, here we had Silesia moving into Munich. And so we'll start in spring of 1907.
Let's see. How do the Italians? Oh, I see. The Austrians cut Burgundy's support for Marseille. That's how the Italians got into Marseille. I guess the theory is, and it really is, Austria's going to stick with this and have that little narrow window of opportunity through Munich.
I don't understand why is Mid-Atlantic not supporting Spain, Gascony not supporting Marseille?
That's a
problem.
mistake.
Portugal supports Marseille. Like, there's a line. That is the line.
Portugal supports Spain.
Right. Yeah, no, they have the line.
Well, no, they got to cover Mid-Atlantic. Never mind, because there's 2 Italian fleets.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, you can't see it because Jason Massbaum's name's covering it up.
All right. I actually did not see the fleet in North Africa, to be fair. All right.
As usual, Jason Massbaum is covering good things up with his name and his presence. Fall turn takes Spain.
Italy and
does
Spain.
The Italians.
It's a great AI.
Yeah.
It's a great air,
Is it? It's great for everyone, but is it great for Austria?
Well, there's still time for other things to happen, I reckon.
I mean, the nice thing for Tim is that there is not really. I'm not seeing an easy, like a big threat, but I think we've got Jason building here. Is McCarless building? No.
No,
So,
but he will be. They might cut him out now.
yeah.
I don't know if Tim really has the ability to, though. Looking at it,
So the question for me would be, okay, great. So I could see R and I moving against Austria, but is that going to be faster than just continuing on with what they've got? Do they need to?
Gosh,
I've
Look-
done an 11-11-11-1 with McAllis. So as much as I say he's a stabby player, he can do it. He tried to stab at the end, but it's okay. It didn't work out for him. He can do it.
Tim may just not think he has anything to do at this point.
I mean, if you're Tim, you've got to be like Berlin. Is that your dot? Like, you got to be saying you got to get something, right?
No. That's McAllis's dot. He's not going to give that to Tim.
But I mean, what's Tim's motivation for sticking with this?
He's going to have to convince Jason to do something different or something. Because the only way really to make any progress is to put a fleet in the Black Sea.
Tim needs to look. He needs to go to Jason now and say, "Hey, Trieste is an Austrian home center. That's a fact. It is not me being greedy to take back a home center."
And that is a testament to the meta that we are currently in, that I didn't even think twice about this arrangement.
Austria has exactly 1.5 units that are doing anything at all. Munich and Bohemia.
I'm taking time on this because it's an interesting spot. It's a spot that I find myself in more often than I care to be, and I've never really felt like I've got a good solid answer for it. I'm sure that's because it's not a tactical problem. It's a player problem.
Yeah, I mean, Tim just can't decide unilaterally to do something different here. He's got to have somebody on his side.
No, look, what is Jason going to look? This is ridiculous. I'm sorry. He doesn't get Trieste back, and his reward is an army build in Venice. Like,
You got to go to
no
Piedmont.
way.
No, they need an army in Piedmont so they can take
Yeah, right. Yeah, I hear you. I tell you what, Jason, I got an idea for you. Let my army go through Trieste, Venice, and then to Piedmont. How about that?
You know why he needed that army? Because he was getting ready to lose his army in Spain. Needed that army.
Well, he needed it. He did. And I think Tim, I'm going to stand up for Tim. Tim, do it. Take back.
I mean, we could, however, just move through here until something else happens because we've just got, the West has already breached. So it's just a question of how fast can they move. But Tim's still not getting anything out of it so far.
By the way, I just saw Farron's comment. Fact check, true. You do never give up Trieste. All right. Michaelis, look at this. He got 4. My man got 4.
Boom.
He was patient.
Yeah, I'm just going back to look and see where those came from. So it's just
Denmark, Berlin,
broke through.
Kiel.
Well, that was my point. The position was breached. I mean, it just was. So
look at that cheeky move into Smyrna. What's Italy going to do about it?
That's what I was missing.
And I kind of like the move to Romania, right? I mean, to Ukraine instead of Romania. It's keeping Tim on side. He's like, look, I did this, but I'm going to cut you in. I just couldn't tell you ahead of time.
does this game end? No.
Oh, but he doesn't do it. I'm wrong. That's not
Carlos.
unusual that I'm wrong.
Carlos is taking his shot. Tim realizes this, has got to do something about it.
Nope.
There's not enough time. He timed
Well,
it
it depends on
perfectly.
how fast the game was moving, but I don't blame McCarless for giving this a shot. Come on now, he's taking London. Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
Jason's just sort of hanging out. I'm going. Well, if you're doing that, I'm taking French stuff.
He needs a dot. He needs a dot now. He's already taken Trieste, so Spain was available.
He's taking Spain back.
I mean, seriously, do you not make a deal with Brandon here and you both go deal with the Russians somehow? I don't know. North Atlantic could have been, Mid Atlantic could have been in the North Atlantic and stuff. There we go.
Right. So, congratulations to Michalis Kamaridis for a 13 center Russia. It's 13 centers, but it felt more dominant than that. I would say, I don't remember which of you said it, but the patience that was displayed here was very impressive. It's one of the things that I observed from Michalis often. Besides
Not me.
good tactics. Well, that
He
may
just
be
takes
an
my
Ed problem.
dots. He's very impatient about it. I need Ed's dots now.
Okay, so Tim's saying it'll be a 12 center because Carlos is saying meant to draw, they couldn't get a GM. So, okay, still 12 centers, very impressive game. Tough spot from a what the heck do I do for those three powers in the East? And I will say to the three of them, thank you for not making it an 11-11-11. I think this is a much more interesting way to play this, even at 12 centers.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Jason. Good job on not making it 11-11-11. I'm sure they're thrilled at the positives they've yielded for the hobby.
It wasn't that they didn't. This wasn't their idea. It's just that that Russia just got such a great position breaching the defenses in the north. It wasn't really anything other than that. It wasn't like Austria and Italy diagrammed this. They would have preferred an 11-11-11. It's just McCarless got out to a fast start because he outguessed and outplayed Evan in the north tactically.
Yeah, just
so it looks to me like.
Here.
By the way, my man Evan is a Nexus Press League player who's gotten into virtual, and thank you for playing, Evan. And he's come to a couple of face-to-face events as well.
Yeah, he was also at World IPCON last weekend, I believe.
He was.
That's fantastic. And I know this is something I was going to bring up earlier. Actually, before I do that, anything else anybody wants to say on this game?
No.
Who knew that McCarless knew how to move units around? I didn't know that.
Congratulations again. Another good, fun set of games. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up here. That was our last game for the night. David, Ed, thank you for joining. What I did want to say is Evan playing as a Press League player. Anybody that is interested in playing in the Diplomacy Broadcast Network Invitational, which is coming up in February, you have to play a minimum of 2 virtual events or 2 virtual games, not events, throughout the course of the season. So we're running out of opportunities. Virtual Diplomacy League is one way that you can get those games in. There's another round in next month on December 3rd, I believe. And we've got the French Diplomacy League for those French language speakers that will count. And one of the best ways is going to be the Virtual World Diplomacy Championship. And that was what I intended to talk about at the top of the show and forgot. That is an event that really does a really good job, the organizers, of trying to make an event that is truly global and has timings that are appropriate for all 3 of the major hobbies in the world right now. So something that is Asia Pacific, particularly Australian friendly time zone, a European friendly time zone, and a US friendly time zone. It doesn't mean that players can't play in non-default time zones, but that is something the organizers do a really, really good job of trying to make sure that it's equitable for everyone across the globe. There tends to be quite a few rounds, so that is one of the single best ways that you can get involved. If we take a look at that again, the upcoming date for that is the December 16th to 18th. So I'd encourage anybody trying to get their 2 virtual games in to try and participate in that event as well. That also goes for our face-to-face players. So if you've played in face-to-face only and not virtual games, once again, VDL and VWDC are a couple of the best ways that you can go about doing that.
Oh, wonderful. Mr. Lester might not get to play at DBNI.
Yeah, he's got to get the 2 virtual games in, and that's just because we've found through experience DBNI is not the place to learn how to play virtual. It's also not a format for everyone, and that's okay. It's a great equalizer in that you can play from around the globe and you don't have to pay for travel costs, so it's not as much a pay to win. But it is something that you need to kind of experience and get those reps. Otherwise, it's not the best. The DBNI is not the place to learn. So, yeah. Congratulations again to all of our players. Let's pull up those standings. Let's see. I will do a disclaimer that I am not 100% sure these are going to be correct.
No, we're 100% sure.
But we're gonna put up what we believe them to be. Nicolas Taillet, 300. Michaelis, 278. Brandon, 273. Jason, 253. Jason Bennett, 244.7. Craig, 243. Wes Ketchum, 232. Huge shakeups. And I think the reason why we see some of this adjustment, assuming that these are correct scores, is the VDL will take your top 4 scores and the average of the West. So this
the
is
commentators.
Yeah, they're saying these aren't
standings, right, and they're saying they're inaccurate.
Yeah,
you just give us the standings in the YouTube chat. Why even ask for them if you know what they are?
So I don't know that this is right. So I also am not sure what the cause for this is. So I
like
will
these
have to
standings
get back.
better.
Now, here's the situation, folks. When you tune in to the next countdown, they will have all the numbers verified at that point, and we'll know where everybody's standing in the DBNI, and perhaps that would be the time to show the current VDL standings. We're not going to worry about that tonight. It's been a long broadcast, and you guys just wait.
Send all your complaints to the person responsible, Brandon Fogle.
That's it. Yeah, I'm sure I just added those in the wrong way, or sure, I'll blame Brandon. He should not be in 3rd place. What will happen is we're going to get Zach Moore, our commissioner for the Virtual Diplomacy League, will post the correct standings, and we'll have those as soon as we're able. They will be validated and by people who know what they're doing, and you'll see them soon. So thank you all for watching and for everybody playing. Had some really fun games tonight. Congrats again to Tim Crosby for winning the Tour of Britain, and David Hood, Ed Sullivan, thank you so much for joining on the broadcast tonight.
Happy to do it.
Right. With that, Ed, I'm going to let you go ahead and do your best Siobhan impression. Let's close this out.
Oh, I was going to walk over her line and say something else, but I know it's tradition to say stay safe and stab well. I stabbed myself there.
All right. Good night, everybody.